Wow. Hello, everyone. Hello, Waggles. You have first. What would you like? Why is there so many? What is this? Stream. Twitter. Go away. All of these messages. Okay. Sorry.
All good.
What compliment?
Oh, my
choice. Interesting. Ooh.
A threat.
Ooh, okay. I could do the easy one and say, Waggles, I'll make you be obsessed with this game. You will have to give me like 500 words why it's good in a week. But I will not do that because it would be mean as fuck.
You'll be a mermaid wearing a pith helmet.
Yeah. Saluni, thank you for the follow. Waggles, a threat. I will redirect all orders of Phantom Mentors to my house from your lake.
Oh no.
Yeah, mine. There you go. That's threatening enough. Wait, but I buy them at the grocery store. I never said I was good at this.
Little threat in the street.
Yeah. I can also just go to the same grocery store and buy them first.
True.
No. My evil knows no bounds. Yes?
Can you stream the PDF to me?
Oh, absolutely. I forgot to do that. Yes, give me a second. Share screen. Terrible PDF. Here you go. So, I am not sure where to start with this one, Treg. Do you?
All right. So, Onyx Path Publishing. No, we're not going to do that. Not for this episode. So, this is GDW, way back in the day. The best place I can start with this is the 1988 game.
Yes.
It really feels like a 1988 game because in 1988, many dice systems were attempting to do something similar.
The Sonnet Raid just came in.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Sonnet. Okay, now you can go because the loud thing is over. Thank you, Sonnet, very much.
Yes, absolutely. And Sonnet probably wants to hear this. So 1988, that was a year where there were a lot of people attempting to do their own multi-dice systems.
Yeah.
Vampire was going to be released the next year or two. Shadowrun in 2 years. And there were some other ones too, like Star Wars was already around, and they were trying to do spin-offs. This one is a multi-D6 game because of that. Because they were attempting to strike while the iron was hot in that regard. That's one of the big things. The other big thing is steampunk as a term really hadn't happened yet. So there we go. This is the first big one in that. Sure, you can classify other things before this point as steampunk, but this is the quintessential first steampunk tabletop role-playing game, in my opinion. Yeah. There are other things that you could classify as that, but no, this is the one. And for those who want to get pedantic about it, yes, Indiana Jones is diesel punk because that's a different era. But yes, Space 1889, it had a computer game spin-off, which I had played all the way through, I think twice? I don't remember.
I had no idea that this is a computer game. But this does come from the authorship of one Frank Chadwick.
Good old Frank Chadwick.
Who also did Twilight 2000 and the wargame Europa. And the Third World War apparently as well. As well as creating Traveller together with Mark Miller.
Yep. That's the big thing about this guy is that he had big ideas.
So you might remember this. Oh, I'm in the way. You might remember this from us reviewing it a few weeks ago. So I inadvertently, because I did not remember this at the time, heated us back in with this guy. The
I didn't want to
difference
bring it up.
engine came out a year later after this was published. Oh, Saluni, thank you for the insight. Um,
Yep.
the difference engine was that again? That's a book, right? I remember that being a book. I don't remember that being a tabletop.
Yeah, that was the alternate history novel by William Gibson and Bruce Sterling. Yeah, basically that was the difference engine that Babbage theorized became a thing. He succeeded in his ambitions.
Book to help establish the steampunk. Victorian era Britain, in which great technology. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I read that in German. I forget the German name.
Yeah.
There's always things that trip me up. Yes. So it is fair to say that this predates somehow this book, which is kind of weird, honestly. Did not expect that. This might technically be influential. They're supposed to be writing at the same time. Let's see.
Yep.
No, I want
like if we want to be pedantic about it, Gibson can be credited for launching cyberpunk and steampunk. Which not many authors can say that.
Which is pretty hardcore. Like, is it? But wait, when this is 1988, this is legitimately older. Yeah, okay, understood. Wasn't sure. Like, this seems like impossible to me. Okay, cool. Well, when you are reading, you can read the title of this episode. So,
yep, that's what it is. Like, if you look at his previous work, Frank Chadwick, almost everything was an excuse to do war game, usually with some colonialism, in X setting. And this is no different.
Yes. Except this isn't, like, through the looks great, this isn't a war game book. No, this is just a book about... I hate this so much. This is just a book about Victorian England, good sir, and their exploits in the real world, with sci-fi going on in the corner.
Yeah,
and the book seems almost embarrassed to talk about that part, and it's weird to me. Okay, so let's get into this. Like, Chadwick did game concept. Chadwick did background design. Bunch of designers, blah blah blah. Some artists. So, yeah, it's Chadwick's child, basically. Pretty. Like, yeah, okay, I have a lot of other people here working on it, but he is clearly the main person. Okay, so you look at the book's girth, and we only have like 216 pages, so that's pretty okay. For a book of especially its time, like it was a single book. You can play the whole game with this. That's pretty fun. We have pretty early explanation of skills, careers, and so on and so forth. And then we get into the Victorian age. For this is about as long as we took to create characters. And then we have a free section, then we get to equipment, science, combat, blah blah. What you would expect. And then you have your own little sections for Luna, Mars, and Venus. Because that is where the game kind of expects you to go in this.
Oh yeah, right away. Venus is like usually where games wound up getting set, just flat out.
Yes, because okay, so the moon, pretty much uninteresting. I'm good concerning. Thank you. We're good. All okay. Mars, bunch of different Martians, big desert. Venus, dinosaurs. So immediately you know where people want to go. Because fucking dinosaurs. Of course you go to Venus.
Yeah. Like, it really seized on the whole, like, how can I put this? There's so much dino fascination in the late 80s, all the way through the 90s, all the way through the early aughts. And this was like at the very beginning of when it really started to catch flame.
Well, so now technically, I'm sorry, but technically this is a steampunk RPG. And it predates that by 2 years. Or I guess if they copyright, maybe it's actually only 1 year, because I'm not sure when in 88 this came out. Like, who knows? Okay, so let's get to the first point here. A lot of art in this isn't great.
No. This is one of the few where we've just right out of the box say no.
There's
no.
Some interesting pieces when it comes to alien creatures and stuff.
Yes.
But you have a lot of Victorian people being depicted, and it's all shit. So they look weird.
And a lot of them have 1980s hairstyles if they were worn in the 1880s.
Yeah.
Like, you could take these two and put them in modern clothes, and their hairstyle would be just fine.
Yeah, they look like they're going to a costume party.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's too much work to change your hair for the costume party.
Way too much work.
We're gonna have to go to work on Monday. It's hi, Kami. You like, yeah, okay. It's just not great, but it's serviceable art, and for the time, considering when this came out, having lots of art in your book was kind of harder. And we get to how it actually is laid out. You might have thought, okay, maybe the index is like this, and that's fine. But no, all of the book is 3-column, and we know that I know that you love that, Drake, right?
Yeah, this is that era of 3-column.
Yeah.
Dragon Magazine was done in this exact format. A lot of early TSR stuff was done in this format.
Yeah, it is not great to read.
Yep, exactly sundered. Like steampunk, that 1988 to 1995 region, that's when everything just suddenly zoom.
So they have they have some introductory snippets here, and they tell you what you need and so on. They have also the note on gender. For ease of expression, all references to characters and referees in this book use the masculine pronoun. This should in no way be interpreted as excluding either female players or characters. Although Victorian society did not encourage women to embark upon careers of danger and adventure, the large number of women who did so anyway is ample proof that it was possible. For more on this theme, see the section The Victorian Age entitled Victorian Women. Yeah, we get no, I mean, this is 1990, right? 1988, whatever.
Yeah.
We don't get any nod at all at even like the gays or anything. Not that I would expect them to do that necessarily. But also, while this is true, the book also has a lot of like kind of weird shit in it when it comes to women. When I can point it out, I will. Because they were drawing from movies like The Horror Express. Yeah, possible. Yep. It's very possible. So, then it tells you, oh, the world, blah, blah, blah. Like, it tells you in the introductory section a lot about, like, the real world. And then a bit about like, this part here, and I to give them credit for the intro, they introduce all the like tech that we have in the game right here on 2 pages.
Yep.
What is the tech? Well, so the game runs off of the contemporary to the 1800s assumption that there's stuff up there in space. It can't just be nothing. Light couldn't travel in a vacuum. So there must be either like there must be something, and this game says there's ether out there. The other name for that they had is phlogiston, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is
phlogiston,
which is the cooler name, I must say.
Yeah.
But whatever the case, we can travel through that by way of a steam engine with a propeller. And that's what they do. And apparently it's very fast because they're going to go to Mars in a month, which we can't do today. It's like several magnitudes better than what we have. And well, but what do you like? But they still have like wooden ships or metal ships. How do they lift those up? Well, balloons, clearly.
Balloons. Yep.
Yeah.
Balloons are everything in this game.
Yeah. Because if you lift high enough, there's some ether in the air that then lifts the balloon up further when it otherwise couldn't lift. That's that, and there you go. And then we just have closed, ships built out of metal, and they just fly to other places, or wood as well. Like they literally use wooden ships in here. They're closed because the spacesuit, I mean, it exists, but they don't really make a thing ever about having one or going outside in one or whatever. And yeah, that's the only real difference they put in. Because there is no there's no really like radio or anything. There's no modern weapons. Like they have Gatling guns and stuff and revolving cannons and shit, but that's it. And they have like a semaphore, like interplanetary semaphore ships that like shine big mirrors at each other for communication purposes.
Oh yeah. The reflective mirror system. Like they were very fascinated with that back then, actually.
Yeah.
So that's pretty true to the real world in that was an attempt by the Brits for quite a while to make that like a big thing.
Yes. And then they talk about like who's in space, which is everyone, all of Europe, but mostly Britain because we're supposed to be the British in this. And also some other places like Japan are somehow up there. Because like the technology itself isn't complicated. You just lift a fucking boat up and then you use a fucking steam engine to go. Like it's not really that special. Then you have some problematic little things like let me lift my hand here. The European powers possessed the means to force their will on others. Chose dudes with guns. Yeah. Thank you, book. Really want to play these guys. These stiff upper lip gentlemen with their beards.
That is one of those things about this. Why I imagine a lot of people don't want to call it steampunk because there's almost nothing punk about the setting. There is no rebellion. You are the colonialist in this game.
Yes, that's true. But that's... I don't think that's a fair cutoff, though, because yes, these people don't use the technology for anything, and it talks about real tech, but it still has fucking space travel in it. So I'm sorry, it must be steampunk.
Oh no, I'm referring to just how both cyberpunk, steampunk, and even dieselpunk, there's some element of punk rebellion at some point. That's the part where a lot of people who have picked this up and looked at it were expecting, oh, do I get to play like the rebels on Mars against the British? And that's not the assumption. That's not the assumption.
But you can have the anarchist job.
You could tell this is the 1988 game because they use the term Fenian.
Yeah. Also, I agree that I like this ship design pretty well. It looks cool.
Oh yeah, I like a lot of the ship's designs in here actually.
This is a bit reminiscent of all those Japanese anime where they use like the boats like with the battleship hulls in space for no reason.
Yeah.
And that really wouldn't be very practical.
I love that shit, anyway. Honestly.
Yeah. It makes more sense here because but assumedly this at one point at least was a ship that could go on water, like and you're supposed to land these things. So I guess this like vertical part has to like fold in or something. but they're supposed to be landable, all of these things.
Yeah, it's a heliograph station, so
Yeah.
it's people are supposed to be able to dock with it.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of Irresponsible Captain Tyler because that's where they lampooned the fact that other anime did the boats in space thing, and they also lampooned Starship Troopers pretty hard too. Why are you guys literally getting in tin cans and being shot off to go fight people? I don't know. It's what we've always done.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the 2 pages of sci-fi. It starts us off with, and then we make characters. But this is fair. Like, okay, for setting the scene for your game that you want to play, that's fair enough. Here's a quick vertical slice of the stuff.
Yeah.
And here's characters. Here's more art of might be the same dudes as before. I don't know. This guy is you think it's a dumpy, but no, they have just those cavalry pants things.
Yeah. Cavalry pants things.
Yeah.
My final word about the 2-page thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the few things I think that the book does right.
Yeah.
You are supposed to tell me how your history is alternate right away.
Yeah.
That should be the first thing you tell me.
Yeah.
If it's not the first thing you tell me, you did it wrong.
Well, this is entirely right, and it's also good because, okay, if we go back up right to this, so we have the introduction.
Yeah.
And then we have character creation.
Yep.
And technically, 20 pages in, you are done as a player with this book if you don't want to read anything else and have the GM explain it. So that's
pretty lean and good in that way.
Yeah, that's pretty okay. Then we get to what a character, oh God, what a character even has and looks like. So,
you can play a giraffe.
Yeah. We have attributes which range from 1 to 6. We have a social level as well, range from 1 to 6, where 1 is working class and 6 is aristocracy, which is was social level actually an attribute or is it extra? I think it's extra.
It is an
right?
attribute.
Really?
It's an attribute. Yeah.
Holy fucking okay. Oh yeah, so right, SOC, right. Okay, how you create characters? There's 3 ways for the attributes. Either put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in your 6 attributes.
Yeah.
Or put 21 points into your 3 attributes. Which is the same as adding these up. Yeah. Or roll d6 for each one, single d6. Because 21 is the average of 66. Of course, the rolling method is they tout here. Many experienced players prefer the challenge of role-playing a randomly generated character. No, they don't. Fuck you.
No, they don't.
Many experienced players prefer to tell you they rolled above average on their stats, though.
Mm-hmm.
When they probably didn't and probably just wrote down what they wanted. Besides the point. And then, okay, once you have these, which are again strength, agility, endurance, intelligence, charisma, and social status. Or social level, whatever. Then we get skills, which are 24 skills, principal skills, sorry. And then go right into 6 groups, which like each skill, each attribute has 4 skills put to it. So good job there.
Yeah. Very lean.
It's very lean, yes. But also skills marked with an asterisk are cascade skills, which is basically a skill which has multiple sub-skills, and you pick a sub-skill when you learn the skill. Meaning, if I want close combat, I pick a fighting style, and I will be... My full level is in that fighting style. Say I have boxing. And then I take half that for other fighting styles. In the case of science, I take engineering, for example. Oh, engineering is on skill. Never mind science, physics. And then other sciences, I have it half that automatically. So if we look up here, you are meant to like write your skill down and then write in the next line the thing it is actually for. Or I guess reverse that if you prefer. And like this character is very baffling to me because like we never get a full character example, I don't think, in this. And why would you have gunnery 1? Like, you're already intellect 2. Why would you even put a point? Well, or whatever. Blah blah blah. Here's the sub skills. So it's actually less condensed than you thought, but it's not so bad really, because most characters will not care about at least half of this list. At times, it's really important to know your character's weight to determine a character's weight in pounds. Multiply strength by 20 and add 100. Fred's Carruthers, for example, with a strength of 6, weighs 220 pounds. Carruthers is a classic British name.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Druthers, but it's Carruthers.
Yeah.
Well, Fred Carruthers is the chunk of this setting, apparently.
Yeah. It's also, there's no lounge made here for ladies at all. So everyone is just a chunk.
Everybody is.
Linguistics works in the same way as these other things, but they didn't list every language. So good job on that one, as opposed to some other games we've seen. They just say pick your main language and then pick a few others for, like, if you have skill 5, you have 1 main and 4 sub languages, and you can speak the one language real good, and 4 others you can speak okay. System works the same. And then obtaining skills. Skills are obtained in 3 ways: defaults, careers, and purchases. Default skills are those in which a player has some ability by simple virtue of his abilities, of attributes. The first skill listed in each attribute group is a default skill. In addition, throwing is a second default skill in the strength group. Each character starts with a level in each default skill equal to 1 less than his attribute value, except for throwing. Each player starts with a throwing skill equal to half his strength attribute. Colonel Carruthers, for example, would have his following default skills due to his attributes. So, Fisticuffs 5, throwing 3, stealth 1, within service 0, because having a 1 is nothing. Observation 2, eloquence writing. So, as we see above here, where the list is, like the first one you take, you have some points in, which is again pretty easy, pretty simple system, but it works. Career skills obtained is described in the section labeled careers, which begin on page 12. Finally, all players may purchase additional skills for their characters. Each player receives either 2 or 6 general skill points, as described in the career section, with which to purchase more skills. Points may be used to raise default skills and subsidiary skills as well. So why 2 or 6? Well, you can either pick 1 career and have 6 points to distribute, or pick 2 careers and have 2 points.
Yep.
And then there is certain careers have certain requirements, like the merchant has society 4 or less, and charisma 3 or more as its requirement. So if you have 5 society, you can't do it. If you have 2 charisma, you can't do it.
And part of the reason for why they do it this way, where if you have 2 careers, you get fewer skill points, is because each career has a special thing that career can do.
Yes.
Which is unique to games like this, where it didn't matter what career you picked. It gave you a special ability.
Yes. Then they have a section for male and female also only skills. Where you are barred by policy if you're a woman, which is accurate to the times. There were some women who just snuck in anyway because it's Victorian times. No one's going to ask you to take your pants off. And they're so stiff upper lip that it would never be noticed, but whatever. Yeah, they even talk about to successfully impersonate a man.
I have to respond to Sundered. Sundered mentioned that phlogiston was also a term used by Spelljammer.
Yes.
But there was somebody who used it before Spelljammer existed, Sundered? Ultima.
Yeah, and it's also a term, that's the real science term from back in the day. Like it is not like a term made up by D&D.
Yep, exactly.
Because back in the day they were like, well, how does it work? We know that light travels in air, so and we can't make a vacuum. So does it travel through it? Probably not. There must be something. Like they couldn't fathom that there is a vacuum above us, and the theory of gravity literally didn't tell us yet how that shit works, because no one has been hit by the head by an apple yet. So, yeah.
In the case of Spelljammer, that was supposed to be spaces made of phlogiston, so it was very, very flammable. But in Martian Dreams, the Ultima spin-off game, they used it correctly by saying, no, this is the super fuel that we use in our space cannons to launch our spaceships.
Yes.
So they said they had the unobtainium in the game to make the rockets go from planet to planet, which this game never does.
Yes. And so, okay, let's go back in. Some are criminal careers. And if you pick one as your first, you have to pick. You are like gated from some other careers later. Blah blah blah, and then. What's most important, you can pick 2 careers, and it can be the same career twice, giving you double the bonuses from that career. But you can also pick 2 different ones. And it's kind of like a simple system that I would say works okay.
Yeah, it works fine.
And then each skill level purchase an area should probably 5 to 6 cost half a point. So the game wants it to be 2 attributes you're very good in, easier to raise. And if you're 3 and 4, it costs 1, and if you're in your bad categories, it costs more to raise something.
Yeah.
And at character creation, at least no player can purchase a skill level greater than that such attribute.
Yep.
No character may buy an increase in close combat skill greater than 1 above his career generated level. Yeah. Oh, you can buy it 1 up, but not more. Okay. And then
limiting factor on whether or not you can just beat the shit out of people constantly.
Yeah. And then depending on the social class, you get a bunch of money. Which is like I guess the main advantage to having social classes, that you get a bunch of cash.
Because the higher level social class careers that you can pick, they have less like interesting abilities you get.
Yes,
far less interesting.
Yes, because you're a stiff upper lip gentleman who never saw like any hardship in their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you have kind of additional benefit, as it says. And then it talks about associates. You might have a butler or a maid or criminal friends or whatever. But also might also be an inventor and have inventions. We get to that later. And then it talks about what careers even there are.
Yeah.
You can be in the army, male only, no prerequisite. Blah, 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 gives you stuff, can pick different one. Like, basically, you just get some bonuses from this. Congratulations.
Yep. This is very Twilight 2000 brained. But at the same time, like, this kind of system works because of something very similar is technically used in almost every Modiphius game right now, where you pick a career or a profession or something, and you get something for
it's like a Cthulhu, but like this more because you can pick 2.
Yeah.
Because Cthulhu really like defines you via your job that you have, and you kind of can't really pick another job. And I like the idea that I was in the army for like 1 tour of duty, and then I became, I don't know, a big game hunter, and looked like this guy somehow. And there's just a bunch of careers here. You can be a reporter. Like, also, I want to point out again that the art sucks. Okay, these little men and women are like, oh god, it doesn't look good. No. I don't know. Somehow it's It almost feels like they told someone who isn't really into drawing black and white art to do that.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Because it isn't bad, it's just like bad.
Yeah. It's the this is a master criminal, okay?
And
then that's it. Like there's not much more to it.
Yeah. You can also be an anarchist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite agile to be an anarchist. Crime
you
2.
have to jump out of the way.
Close Combat 1. Eloquence 1. Engineering 1. Explosives. Theatrics and linguistics. Yeah. Yeah, double anarchist for me, please. Thank you. And then they explain you what your skills do, briefly, in which we are going. I mean, you can probably guess what the skills do.
Yeah, the skills. This is one of the few skill sections where you know what it is on the tin.
Yeah.
Most games we've had to like go through and be like, "What's the goofiest skill?"
Like this
here. No.
There's a few exceptions where I'm like, okay, what the fuck? They put some stuff in where I'm like, okay, riding, horse, camel, elephant, Geschent, Rumeltbrier, and flying skrill and Pachyosaurus. Okay, yes. I can guess that these are alien creatures I could ride. Cool. Mm-hmm. That's almost the only like knowledge that, and then the interplanetary ether flyer versus Zeppelin versus cloud ship versus blah blah blah. But yeah, the skill exclamations are what you would expect. We're going to get to what the creatures are later. Okay, with this out of the way now, the author comes to the section he really wanted to write, which is what in the real world politics was happening in the politics of politics, Victorian age time politics.
Yep.
There's a section here that's about as long as the whole section before it, but just talks about, hey, what did Britain get up to in the Victorian age? What was the society like? And it's entirely and utterly only talks about the real world as it was back then.
Yeah.
As zero explanation of or credence given to the sci-fi angle of this, the spaceship angle. Like, nothing on Earth has changed. It's exactly as before, except that we also sent Zeppelins to space.
Yeah.
And if you know my hang-ups about alternate history, yeah, that sucks. That's terrible. That's immediately the worst.
It would be so easy to include anything.
Yes.
There's a movement of suffragettes who are very against exploiting Mars. There's anarchists who believe that they should be the ones liberating the lizardmen of Venus. Like, you could do all sorts of things, and they just don't do it.
Yep. And what Sonat says there, another reason why it's more Victorian leaning than steampunk. Exactly. This game is the first steampunk game by like a technicality, not because it wanted to be.
Yes, by technicality. and I go back to what I said before. None of this is punk.
Yeah, none of this is punk. It talks about you being a high social class character who does expeditions with their inherited wealth. Literally, it's in the
exactly.
Yeah, there we go. You can even be a knight of some order of the Order of the Garter or whatever.
Yeah.
And it gives you a referee section pretty early on, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But this is the time where you legitimately have to explain what the fuck even a referee is.
Yeah,
or a game master. And explain how you would run a game. And they have the random encounter table for disposition right here. Where an NPC is motivated by exactly one thing. So you can have an idea what you are role-playing as.
Oh, I thought this was Baron von Gerber. I was like, oh no, the Gerber man is here.
The Gerber ABC, yes. You always roll 2d6 to determine what it is. Like a 56, he's mad. Oh no.
Oh, he's mad.
And then like just how do I run NPCs? What do I do with them? Some stats for dudes that you might encounter. Like here's your henchman skills. It's all very simple because the system it's based on is simple. But we should now get like but what hasn't it done yet? well, it hasn't explained how we actually do anything in the game. Because having a skill in something doesn't tell you how to use the skill. And it doesn't do that in this section, which is interesting to me. Like, they explain how to roll things in the now here it is, the quick roll and stuff. So how do you roll things in this? Well, there's a target number, and you roll your d6s, and if you are above it, you do it. Or you roll 1d6, and if it's below your skill level, you do it.
Yep.
Game says either, except in the case of fighting. Fighting has particular rules.
Yep, fighting is different.
So what you essentially get with this is, okay, it's impossible, like 20, right? I have 1 dice, but I can't make it. So I'm just gonna roll, and on a 1 I make it. Anyway, because that's the system says I'm allowed. But also, on a 6 you always fail. So attribute 6 does nothing, or skill 6, for you in that instance.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's this very weird double thing, and I don't really like it.
Yeah, like if you're gonna have one system, or if you're gonna have a system for resolving things, have one. That is one of the big problems with this game, is that there's technically 2. Mm-hmm. And at the table, when we played this way back in the day, we usually just used either or. We just would sit there half asleep trying to figure out, well, this is more advantageous to me if I do it this way, so I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
But of course, it had the double-edged sword of, if you roll a 6 on that single d6, you fail no matter how high your skill is. So.
Yes, but it's like, with the difficulties as they are, like impossible is 20, right? Mm-hmm. The average roll on 66 is 21.
Yep.
So you are pretty formidable if you have a high skill.
Yep, you really are.
But you don't have a high skill in most things. So it will be advantageous a lot of the time to just roll that single dice and hope. Because you can, the napkin math is simple. If I have 2d6, I should even on mod deck, 2d6 would be, I have a 1 in 3 chance of making it. So if the difficulty is 12, I should roll, because doing 2d6 rolling a 12 is 1 in 36.
Yep.
So a lot of the time you will be rolling that single die and hoping. And that's weird. I can't really say it's terrible, but I don't like it.
Yep. It a lot of this feels like I need to do something different from Twilight 2000. How can I do something different?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what he came up with.
Came out way earlier, yeah.
It did. Yeah, because this was like I think there's only 2 more things that he came up with after this. So like, this is like the late part of his career, because this guy had been publishing war games since '74.
Yeah, so. He made his, like, look at this oeuvre. Yeah.
Or 73, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did On Guard. I forgot about that.
Drang nach Osten. Wow. Wow. That's great. Your first game is about the Wehrmacht, really?
Yep.
Amazing. And you can tell from this thing, because we have Second World War, we have this hybrid role-playing and tactical dueling game, swashbuckling game. Then we have Waterloo.
Yep.
Then we have Imperium, which is believe it also pretty much, this is actually like, it's actually sci-fi. And we have Traveler, which also sci-fi. It's a sci-fi phase here. Have Tech Force miniatures board game, and then he, what the fuck is this anti-highlight?
It's a board game.
Oh, it's more board game for space. Okay. A House Divided war game for Civil
War. Yeah.
Striker, another Traveler book.
And that one's like a miniatures war game for Traveler.
Mm-hmm. And then we get
War game, war
pretty
game, war game.
quickly to Twilight 2000. So he just likes alternate history stuff, and then probably wrote some sci-fi, maybe because sci-fi is interesting. Squeaky Wolf, thank you for the follow. Are you? Oh, I feel we are very compatible. Hello. Yeah, so essentially, this man just liked alt history and liked like Victorian age and that the whole area up to modern times, I guess.
Yeah, Age of Sail up to steampunk. Yeah,
Yeah,
some modern.
And it's it's oof.
He would have published some diesel punk if he felt like it, but no, that didn't really come into a big thing until like the early 2000s. So, and when I say diesel punk, I mean like literally. Okay, we have diesel powered robots fighting the Axis. Like that's when. Oh shit! I just suddenly forgot the name of it. Man, there's so many different games that were like a big thing at the time. Oh, Gear Creek. That's what I was thinking of. That was World War II, but with mecha.
Yeah. Oof. It's yeah. And like you can really tell like that his in this book specifically that his love of it is for the Victorian stuff in here, because and also like even that he knows about the like what they thought the future would be like. Because if you look at like old depictions of what will this future look like, yeah, they had sailboat adjacent spaceships and stuff, because yeah, that's what it looked like. I don't know. Let's pretend. So I have to say, the double screen. Oh, thank you. There's a bunch of people streaming under the latex tag who you might enjoy if you're looking for more. So yeah, because like again, it's very baffling if we go back up that he does a whole section about just like in the real world this was happening and we have like these types of guns and so on and so forth, with literally zero nods at the game he's writing.
Oh yeah.
So then the DM section, after we learn how to roll, talks about how to make an adventure. And give you like opportunities that might that force action through promise of reward, force action through curiosity with puzzles and so on and so forth. It's the advice is okay. Wouldn't say it's great. Because it's very much reads like, yeah, you give your players like stuff, because that's what motivates the players to do stuff. It's not really about roleplay per se with this author too much.
Not like really, no.
There isn't like a players at the table want to play the Colonel Sanders of and go to Mars. No, people at this place are forced into action through a threat of harm or disaster to their characters, or they are forced into action through promise of reward. What do you force people into action? What are we here for? Why would you need to force me to be in your game?
It just there's so many games from that era who just like they would say things with similar language.
Yeah.
This idea that like you are really taxing your group by forcing them to do this tabletop game instead of playing, I don't know, Scrabble.
Yeah. And then it also like shows another thing that's very typical of this time, where it's like, oh yeah, you need to graph paper map out your town. It's very important for some reason that we do that. And that all these buildings are made up of 10 by 10 foot squares, or 5 by 5 foot squares, whatever.
Yes.
And then you can draw little furniture. And if this is a tavern, it has a 15 by 20 foot tavern space, which makes no sense. And then you do this for some reason. This is terrible. Like, never map your towns in that way. It's fucking useless. And and then talks about what you could get as rewards and stuff, blah blah blah. Experience in this game is interesting because it's basically just like, yeah, the GM can give you a point when he wants. Like, it's literally just an experience point. It's literally just you can raise a skill with it. By I think the same rules as before, where it's cheaper to raise the ones you have good attributes for. You have to roll skill confirmation as well here.
Yep.
That's what it was.
You do have to.
So it gets less likely you do it as it goes higher.
Yep. It gets harder to do.
Yeah.
In practice, it's worked fine, but at the same time, we were really bummed when we missed that.
Yeah. And also, close combat has its own fucking skill experience pool, and you have to go into close combat to get points for it. So basically, it encourages you to once per scene or once per evening, whatever, throw a punch at somebody.
Yeah, it really encouraged you to do that. Like in practice, though, it wound up forcing us to go. If we really want to be badasses, we need to go do badass things.
Yeah.
So like the intention is, okay, let's make this quasi-realistic use skill, raise skill, but they only do that for that, so it doesn't really apply.
Yeah. Like, here we get to what I would say is the good part of this game as a whole, is that its system is so simple that it's easy to get people playing.
So easy. It was so easy to buy people into this.
Like, the setting, in my opinion, is really bad, but the game itself, as just a simple system, works quite well. And you could substitute skills for other skills in your own game if you want to run this with different things for some reason.
Very easily, honestly.
The two different resolution mechanics are a bit weird, but it's not really a deal breaker. That's actually, for its time, this is a good system. Like just the dice stuff.
Just objectively for 88, yeah.
Yeah, it is, however, really hamstrung by everything around it. Because it's all in service of being this guy. Like, look at him. This is aspirational in the game. To be an older gentleman with stiff upper lip with a big, like, what do you call this type of beard? I don't know, but it looks terrible. It looks like something died on his nose.
Oh yeah, it's the fact that like he let part of it go gray, but then like from the nose downwards, he's like, no, I must put shoe polish in this to keep it dark.
like for real, this is supposed to be who you are, and this is supposed to be, we are fighting space elves or whatever for sabers. It's like, why? Like, no, I don't wanna. Like, when I can talk, and it's a whole like little thing that you can grab somebody's shit once you got them with your sword and take it as a souvenir. Like, that's also like so insensitive.
It's so insensitive.
Goddamn insensitive. I hate it. Like, yes, it is accurate to the times, but fuck you.
This image, every time I see this image, I am brought to like a mental image of a roleplay scene where, Madame, would you like me to gun down those savages below for your entertainment? Oh yes, of course,
Madame. I have greased up my cannon for you, if you know what I mean. And then she's oh, I'm getting the vapors, good sir. That cannot be. Will you show me your cannon? And then he brings her outside on deck. And she's like,
disappointed face.
These motherfuckers always talk about their guns. I hate it here. I put this big butt dress on and no one gets what's gonna fuck me again. Like, yeah, it's interesting that the outline of this gun is in another picture in the background. Like,
yes,
it's a very early. These are probably cutouts because it's 1988. Interesting little tidbit. And then we have equipment, and the equipment section is very baffling. Why? Because nothing gets stats.
Nothing gets stats. Yeah.
The only thing you get is a price and the weight. And like, legitimately, the stats are at the very back of the book. So if you want to buy a light revolver, here's the stats. Here's just the price.
Mm-hmm.
And to get to the stats, you have to go. There's nowhere else. I looked. You have to go all the way up in the very back of the book to find them.
Yep, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and obviously these are all very accurate to the times. There's no ray gun in this. There's no laser rifles, whatever.
Yeah.
You are going to fight the savages with bolt action carbines, much like our leathernecks do, down in Zululand. Like this is.
Yeah.
Like I think the author knew that he couldn't just straight up release a game about killing Zulus in Africa, so there had to be space in it. That is the order of priority here. We have to have a game about colonialism. It's very important to me, but I can't just do it real colonialism. That's insensitive.
Yeah, it has to be space aliens that we're fighting. Yeah. Like it just has to be.
Like legitimately, the 5 companies I brought this to said it's insensitive to bring this out.
Yep.
Those Philistines. So I'm gonna put flying space zeppelins in, and then they're gonna accept it.
Yes.
But if I ever we are going to be in Africa and we are going to shoot black people like God intended. No, okay, I'm not going to say that actually Frank Chadwick is like that. No.
I think he just likes his war games.
Yeah, I'm being hyperbolic here on purpose, but this game is like I don't understand how you do this. Like it's the most accidentally racist game ever. In a charitable read of it, and that's not good.
Yeah. No,
like,
good.
And at the same time, if you just never pick up this book because you stopped reading after page 20, you're like, yeah, I'm probably gonna this fine. I'm gonna be some British guy and in space. I'm gonna have a heavy revolver, because what you need to play is like this is the weird part. If we go back up, right? So you need to play page 8 to 18, and then page 201, 216 is where all the charts are again.
All of them, yeah.
Because like if you look at the equipment section, scroll slightly up. Like I don't need it explained what a let's say what's a good example? What a tarp is.
No.
Or rope. I can get by. And then if I do want to know, wait, well, there's fuel power plants. Why do I need power plants? Then the DM can step in and be like, I read this book. I know what they are. Here, let me explain. There you go. Because most of this is very self-explanatory.
So I figured it out about the art.
Okay.
I think that they took somebody who's used to doing technical drawing, because like you look at all these guns.
Yeah.
They look great.
Yeah, they look super accurate.
So like a technical or engineering artist, draftsman, if I may, was also told, can you draw the people too? And he's like, oh, okay, I guess draw the people too.
Yeah, because even like the tents and the dynamite and stuff is like rendered in better detail than the people.
Yeah. But like, if you look at the people, it's similar kinds of attempts at shading as to like the things around them.
True.
So that's what makes me think immediately. That.
Yeah, it's the same guy. D88, right? He sometimes just signs with a D. God, he did all these in a year. Oh, it must have been good work.
Oh yeah. That's another thing. Is it's just like there's so many of these properties that
I think they went by page Drake, because none of these are signed by D88. But then this page, everything is. So they had more than one draftsman do this.
Okay, so like. That was definitely a relic of its time because of how they had to do layouts.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. Because that's how they usually assigned art, was by page, not like, I need this piece of art. It was no, you do the art on page 50. And then it had like squares that had like, not necessarily a sticky note or something, it had something there, usually a slip of paper that said, hey, this is supposed to be a picture of dynamite.
Yeah.
So.
And then we have a bunch of swords and other things. Also, Squeaky Wolf, I hope your internet is back. Never worry about having problems. Like, don't excuse yourself for the internet being shit.
Yeah.
We have all been there. And then, because again, like this cannon, for example, looks really like the hatching, and I like this a lot. It's a little picture. A Hort. Not sure if that's the name, but it reads like Hort to me. And then we have Martian artillery in here, because it's just all of the items in the game they're going to tell you about. Pressure muzzle-loaded guns mounted on wooden carriages. This fire round shot or grape shot. Isn't this normal cannons? What? Whatever. And then all of these breech-loading cannons and Gatling cannons and what have you.
Yep.
All of this is here.
The Nordenfelt.
Yeah. And then suddenly the ether, because we're in the invention section, you didn't even notice because it's just this little section up here that tells you.
Yep. This is there. It just hits you right there across the face.
And okay, so here's inventions you can have. These are also things you can just buy, to be clear. These are just like, basically all of this stuff is still equipment, but it's the new stuff that we invented for the game for the most part. And that's cool. Question mark? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe.
Hold on. Infrared sight liquid. That's another product of this era under biochemistry. That's on the right side of the page under biochemistry. Scroll back down.
Oh, I didn't.
There you go. Right side of the page there.
Oh, here. A liquid which acts chemically upon the photoreceptors in the eye to enable the user to see by means of the electromagnetic radiation in the otherwise invisible infrared spectrum, yet retain vision in normal light. The effects wear off in a number of hours equal to the device's reliability. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Like getting some eye drops to see at night.
The funny thing is that there was a second edition book, I think, may have been even back in first edition, of D&D, where they had something that was just like that. That was like elf sight potion or something. I don't know. But you rubbed it in your eyes, so you could see like an elf for a bit, meaning infrared vision.
Yes, there you go. Squeaky word. I have to ask, is it bad I kind of have a soft spot for all the German engineering was produced during the First and Second World Wars and current stuff? Especially a soft spot for the well-crafted squeaker. I get some water in me. I have to tell you that I'm made in Eastern Europe. Because this model is made by someone living in Estonia. But thank you all the same. You can't fault this game for the stuff it has. There's a nice bit of stuff in here. Rick, are you there?
Yeah, still
okay,
here.
Good. It was silent. Some of it actually, like I would argue, hand lamp. Maybe not an invention per se.
Oh yeah.
If that came out on stream, I'm sorry. They're speeding outside again. And there's like just bunches and bunches of these. You can make a robot. Oh no, this is a diving suit, I think. Is it? Yeah. No, a mechanical man. Okay. You can make him a 1 ton.
Oh no.
Oh no. You can get your pelvis crushed by your 1 ton sex robot.
I like how they are obviously inspired by what's the name of it? With the lady robot.
Do you mean the German film?
Yeah.
With M. Fuck.
Yeah. My brain just didn't dial it up, but yeah. Because it's the same, like, let's have antennae in the side thing.
Yeah, it's like this is old school, like, sci-fi looks.
Love it.
Now I want to remember what it was. Metropolis,
yes.
Yeah.
This is Metropolis spot right here.
Nura electrician? I'm not an electrician, but I'm well insulated. But what would I do, Sanad? Well, how would I be an electrician? Please. You never take them off, I couldn't be. And then you initially get some really well done, actually, like for technical drawings, color pages in the book, which is most baffling to me when I came here. Oh, you in the hand lamp, okay. And there's the spacesuit. They mentioned it once. I never saw anything about going outside of your ship, though. Like, there's no rules for that at all. There's no.
Yeah, there's really not.
No, like spacewalking kind of thing. A land juggernaut. Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
the mole drills. I forgot about the mole drills.
Yes.
That's so silly.
And your personal conveyor. I love this thing. Imagine how rickety it must be and how impossible to do anything. And good luck lifting yourself off of your like pedal power. But yeah, these are the pages which I find charming, because this is stuff that that clearly is actually inspired by what that historic time thought sci-fi would look like, and then they put it in as real.
Yeah.
Without really thinking too much about practicality, because yeah.
I think that's one of the good things, though, honestly, is like they didn't even think about the practicality, which that makes it much more charming. We already have things like The Expanse that are all about does it, would this actually work? And this delves into the realm of things that I love.
This is also all, to be very clear here, stuff where I'd say, yeah, this is steampunk. Or even maybe diesel punk. Look at the walking tripod. Like, with the little biggie gear that turns it at the top. Like, there's someone thought a little bit about it, but then stopped thinking it's about this, because this could never be like walk on these little tiny legs. But whatever. Like, this feels steampunky again, because they have a hydrofoil here and stuff like that.
I love their helicopter too.
Yeah,
like,
this
what the fuck?
This thing has 4 rotors, guys. 4. The fucking Osprey can't handle 2 rotors a lot of the time, but we have 4. And then we actually have here a heat ray. They actually have at least 1 laser gun, but it's very much ship weapon style. Transvisor, just trying to see through the solid objects. Yay. And then new artist. Style is different, but not in a bad way. Did they draw all the animals in this book? And that artist draws animals quite well, I find. So I like these crimptures here. Comes back later for the creature section as well.
Oh yeah, the creatures. There's a lot of love put into the creatures in this, I gotta say.
Also like this one where it's like, yeah, they all like come on the blue water line, stuff like that. Again, I said the art's not great. The art is not great when it comes to people. All the stuff in it is fine.
Yeah, it's clearly somebody who was like a draftsman in college did this stuff, so it's drawn with a lot of love.
It feels like it, yeah. It feels like this person has had passion for this kind of thing and not the other kind of thing. And we have here Martian skyships, because Mars has special trees that are very light. So they make flying ships out of the trees, and then the humans import the wood as well to do the same thing. And then again, like then you come to this stuff. The fuck is this? What do you do? Why is it like colored like this? Why?
Why is it so muddy, like all over?
Yeah, it looks like it is literally marker.
Yeah, this is marker.
And then not like, because this stuff, this is also possibly marker colored, but this person knew what they were doing. Like this is just not great.
It feels very fat, smudgy markers, whereas the other stuff feels like the fine point markers.
Yeah. It's just. Anyway, and then we get to the science section, because we can invent stuff. What stuff do you ask? Well, all the stuff we just talked about, that are inventions. You can't invent new stuff. It's so weird. One of the most baffling decisions. So how it works is, in a dice pool that's based on your science skill and your intelligence. And then you have to like assign a part to research and a part to building. And if you put all in research, you can never build the thing you are researching, but you know a lot about it. But if you know less about it, you can build it better. And it makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense.
But it has a little bit of allowance in there for researching new things over time. So you could research, and eventually start building with the dice your GM grants you. But it's like, the problem with it is simple. We can only build everything that we just saw and research. We can't make like a laser.
Yep. Effectively, that's how it wound up being played out, though, what you just said about research, then build something. The big reason for that is travel times. You usually had like your scientist dude hang out in his lab for like the 2 months that it took to travel to Mars, and then he just researched a whole bunch. And then once he got to Mars, he then was like, "All right, let's buy some of that lift wood and let's get making this thing that you came up with."
In that sense, it works, but it's just like I don't like that there's no allowance for making your own stuff.
Really isn't,
that is just very weird to me. Because the only reason to do it then is just, it's cheaper to make it out of materials myself. Which, okay, cool. I guess that's true. But then why do I have to science it at all if it's a known thing? Yeah. Then we have here our like values that we need to reach to get. I'm not quite sure how this works because it's weird. Because some of these values are negative. I have no idea. Like
what the second number is.
It doesn't really matter. Like the most funny thing is that you can make your different propellers for your spaceship, but only these 3 kinds. You can
only those 3 kinds.
Either Edison, Armstrong, or Zeppelin. Which do you prefer? All named after real people that invented them before you, but you can invent them as well. That is the weirdest part of this game. Like, very weird. And then we get to which is also already part of this because the engine blah. You have to design your ship because you'll be a lot of time spent on the ship.
That second number determines the reliability of the thing that you invented. So the difference of that, and then how many? What is it? Not successes. The margin by which you succeeded.
It determines like that. If I make super hard steel, I have to like get my margin up to make it actually not brittle.
Yeah. Whereas like a telescope is super easy to make a good version of. So like at the minimum, your telescope will have reliability for.
Yeah. Your lightning cannon or superconductor will have reliability 5.
Yeah.
But also be hard to research.
Much harder to research. Yep.
Okay.
There you go. That's how.
Like I couldn't tell you if these numbers are correct or make sense because they probably just don't. They're probably just arbitrary. But who cares? Like it's a weird system from start to finish anyway. So
I forgot that like there's so many pages devoted to just ether flyer design.
Can I manage to shrug in this? Oh God, it's not. I can kind of shrug. Try it.
Struggle
wuggle. So you must live to 24,000 feet, and then it will start flying because of the ether, and then you build your ship. It needs to have a control room, a common area, rooms for people. They will get your own toilet, which is pretty generous, honestly. A greenhouse. You need 10 by 10 foot of plants per 4 people. But your ship just fucking hell not enough. Hello?
That's like yeah, that injures me. Like just reading 10 by 10 greenhouse. That's plenty. That'll get you your oxygen. Won't shut up.
Yeah. Like in the real world, we do it via electrolysis, I believe, and
electrolysis,
and like we have the CO2, and then we use energy to make it O2 again, as well. because you can actually run it off of solar power, but obviously solar power doesn't exist here. So we're just gonna use green plants. Then you have to have engine room. Like this whole section is very unnecessarily intricate, because depending on if like your scientist needs a certain big size lab per science skill they have or something, and then other people need more space as well for their stuff, and suddenly your boat is real big, and then you have to have other places be even bigger, and it's a whole thing, and it's not really great for planning out a ship. You're basically doing a lot of like napkin math and then hoping it fits into a space.
Yep.
It's
we usually just kind of hand waved a lot of that stuff, and then just like, oh well, you want to make a really big one, then we just paid whatever the difference was, or had our characters invest the time in harvesting resources. Like, if we did have to do like a whole, you know what? I'll tell this story later, because it's the actual story.
I'm curious about your war stories about this game. And then they tell you some more about the Etherflies. And then we get to the combat section, to the actual meat and potatoes of any game, basically. So how does combat work? Well, let's talk melee attack first.
Yep, let's talk melee attack.
So
you roll your dice.
Yeah, but wait. So I raised my sword skill to 6. Do I get 6 dice? No. Silly. Nope. You get the weapon dice, which we haven't seen them yet because they're at the end of the book.
Yep.
But what it does, you have a minimum skill to wield a weapon and a minimum strength to wield a weapon. And they also have reach, those weapons.
Yep.
And you roll the dice, and then your skill determines how many of them are a success.
Yep.
And you might roll more or less dice depending on your reach versus the enemy.
Yep.
And you can parry as well, but that's harder. And it's it's suddenly very intricately complicated, and I don't know why.
So to just lay this out, your weapon, let's just call it accuracy. They don't use the term here. They use hit dice, which will just make more people more confused.
Yeah.
Each weapon has its accuracy. A club has an accuracy of 2. An axe has an accuracy of 2 also, but like a fine saber has an accuracy of 5. It's the number of dice you roll. Then it's your weapon skill or less on each die that counts it as a success or not. So if you roll 5 dice and you have a skill of 5, all those 5s or less are hits.
And 6s always miss.
Yes, and 6s always miss. And 1 always hits. So having a lot of skill with a very accurate weapon makes you extremely dangerous in this game.
And polearms are good because they push the number down. Because a polearm with range 3 versus something with range 1 reduces the number you hit on by 2, meaning a polearm can potentially make it so some enemies just can't hit you at all, except on a 1, because the 1 is always a hit.
This is the only game I've ever played where a quote-unquote staff fighter or a quote-unquote halberd fighter is really fucking good.
Yeah.
Really good. And it doesn't have anything to do with you like doing damage. It has everything to do with your ability to stay in the fight, because it's so hard for people to hit you.
Yeah. Blocking works. The weapons have a blocking value, I believe.
Yes, everything has a blocking value too.
You can decide to block, and if you do, it's an action that you pay for, but then you can roll basically a defense attack against their attack. And then if you do that well enough, you can repost them. On top of it, which is, like, I don't mind that this is in here. That sounds cool. It's weirdly intricate compared to everything else in the game, and maybe not for the best.
It's not presented well. But
Yeah.
once you, but like most things that aren't presented well, once you actually play through it once or twice, kind of like Rift's combat, then you
Mm-hmm.
get it.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it's bad. I just say it's like suddenly we have a completely different system to resolve
Yeah,
this.
very different. If they built their skill system in an extremely similar way, this system would be like fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So
Like, there's a strength to being able to apply the same number on your sheet in completely different ways to an outcome for
yes.
games. And this is actually a good example of that in this system, because yeah, I have 6 and sabers. Does it mean that it breaks the game because I always hit? Well, no, because you firstly you only have it if you actually use a saber, but you don't only have a short sword right now, so it's half your skill. Secondly, the other guy has a bigger range, so your attributes actually you actually hit only on a 2 and a 1, and then also blah 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 blah. Like it's interesting in a good way, actually. Like, there's some good stuff in here when it comes to the rules.
It's the right level of crunch, like
Yeah.
for somebody who's tired playing the game. Like it's just enough. More than this would be too much.
Like,
but
it is also so weird to me that the same man who wrote Twilight 2000 then made this, because I think a lesson was learned by Twilight 2000. Because that game's fucking dice system sucks. While this is very playable.
Like, this is also like fast enough that you could easily do wargaming with this exact same system.
Yeah, true.
So, like, I'm pretty sure that was part of the reason why. Like, when did like Warhammer Fantasy come out?
God, that's Warhammer Fantasy is very old as well.
Very old, yeah. Yeah. My point is that was D6 based also. So as a result, you have this thing where this system is D6 based.
Yeah.
This guy learn? He probably did, honestly.
Oh, the racisms are coming when we get to the planets, Kate. Don't worry about it.
The racism is coming. Yeah.
They have missile attack rules, which are like oftentimes even talking about like shooting into like formations of people.
Yep.
And at high ranges are basically almost unsupposed to hit. Like, it's kind of, it is again true to the times in which if you have a musket at 50 yards, you're probably missing just because that thing isn't accurate enough to hit anything at that distance.
Yep.
Which is why they would have their formations and shoot a bunch of bullets, so some would hit. I'm not gonna go into intricate detail. The range rules also work. Blah blah.
They were pretty good, yeah. Like, that is part of the value of doing a game set in this era, is that like the people who are going to be the gun freaks at the table, I'm sorry, but that lever action rifle still has a really shitty range.
Yeah.
It just does inherently. I fired one for real. Past 100 yards, I was like, I'm having a lot of trouble, guys.
Yeah, there's some movement rules here. I don't care. The wounds rules are interesting though, because so you are the game, I believe, gives you 4 actions per turn by default.
Yeah, 4 actions by default. Yeah.
But if you get wounded at all, in that round you no longer have actions. You can only defend.
Yeah.
Because you got wounded. And then per wound you lose one of your actions for the next rounds. So like the worst case is you start the fight, you get wounded immediately, use all your actions, and then next turn you have 3 actions instead of 4. Like, it's very punishing. And you will eventually lose consciousness, which you lose a good deal before you would die in terms of your wounds. There's like two rates basically. It's half your endurance versus your full endurance or something.
The sum equal to your strength and endurance.
Yeah. I wouldn't say this is good. This is a bit of much of the realism brain coming in, because this immediately is like, So I want to wound them first. So I want to lay an ambush? Question mark. Is that what we are doing all the time now? Because like, if I can ambush somebody and just hit them once, I can then hit them 3 more times immediately. that seems very one-sided to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things where this did work out fine.
Mm-hmm.
For the first, you have 4 actions. Sacrificing actions to make sure you don't get hurt was a constant thing because you want to avoid losing actions. But you would lose actions equal to the number of wounds that you had, but you could never go down to 0 actions. You always had at least 1 action. Also, the rules say you go unconscious at the average of your strength and endurance and wounds.
Mm-hmm.
That really happened to so many people. Like, it took a lot to get people taken out, like, unconscious. Because once you're down to 2 or 1 actions, you're running the fuck away. And you have the means to do so because at long ranges, everything's really inaccurate.
Yeah.
So it winds up being a game where, oh no, I took a wound. Oh no, I took another wound. Okay, I guess I'm getting the fuck out of here for a bit. And there was a bit of realism to like the tactics that players utilized because when you get attacked, you don't take like a huge number of wounds all at once. You just take one at a time.
Yeah.
So as a result, falling back after you get, oh, I've been shot, crikey, and then falling back, and then letting the other guy who didn't take any wounds yet step in front of you, it wound up feeling like you were literally in a firing line in the Victorian era.
Yeah, that's
so
like,
the guy simulated it just fine.
Yeah.
It's just you want to play this game. Most people don't, and
Like,
I totally understand.
but here's where I agree with you, because this is a more, I believe, a more interesting system to play than, oh, I have 55 hit points. I am a barbarian in D&D. I get hit by sword 3 times. Nothing happens. Because I am now at 40 hit points, which is like, fucking boring. Like, you can be all like, yes, if somebody gives you like the big hit immediately in D&D, it doesn't feel good that you're at half health after like 1 round of combat, but just at half health, it doesn't really inform anything. And then D&D has also always been like, well, either get healed or just keep fighting anyway. Like, never retreat because you are player characters. Like, running away, it's not going to do anything because you run 60 foot. The other guy also runs 60 foot. And then someone can shoot a bow in your back. And then you just fall down anyway. You just keep fighting. Yeah, this could potentially be better because, the other guy has more actions, but he can't really get you with this little shitty musket gun. And you don't run slower for having wounds, so okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get the point. In practice, also, like, now a modern gamer would be like, but I rolled so many hits on my attack. Why don't I get to do extra damage with it? The whole purpose of, in a game like this, you being really good at hitting things is so that you can guarantee doing that wound.
Yeah.
And so that you can deal with a very highly skilled defender who has like a blocking sword or something. That is the purpose of being highly skilled in a system like this. Not doing more damage, but just being more guaranteed to actually
also,
hit
we
them.
didn't mention this when we went over it, but NPCs actually also have less wounds than you.
Yes, far less.
Like, most at least. Like, if it isn't like the named boss character or something. Like, they're supposed to go down easier than your characters.
Yep. And the rule of thumb with NPCs is usually 2 wounds and they're unconscious. Like, for almost all of them. If it's like the guy that you've been chasing up to this point, then that's different. But usually it was 2 wounds, they're out. And then this is a system that does really emphasize the idea of hunting big game.
Yep.
Taking down that velociraptor. Maybe they need 6 wounds to go unconscious. It's a very dramatic, fun fight then. Because if you do get wounded by the velociraptor, you get your ass out of there because he's going to fucking kill you next round.
Yeah. Then we have our artillery rules.
Yes.
Like, cool, okay.
It works.
Saving throws against them, and like, the different shots of different saving throws, and yeah, you're gonna get fucked up by artillery. Who knew?
Mhm.
The Victorians
great, though.
knew. Yeah, it worked
Yeah.
because it's like this isn't yet the like World War One artillery lines. This is just someone might shoot an artillery piece at you, so you just dodge out of the way. Hopefully,
Oh yeah.
There's some morale values which are also morale based on the experience. Yeah, okay, you get more morale, and then as they take wounds, it goes down. Yeah. Bunch more. It's for explosives and barrier toughness, and this is a kind of game. Again, this is a bit reminiscent of like Boot Hill or something.
Yeah, it's very Boot Hill-ish.
Yeah, where they very quickly just give you rules for whatever the fuck it is you might want to do, and move on.
And I like the utility of that. Like, what is it? That pornographic D&D game, Vice and Violence. They do the same thing in their book, where they're just like, okay, I guess we need a rule for this. Let's just do a rule for this. Okay, well, we're done with that. Let's do this rule for this. Mimics, they have their own page. Like, they just do it and they move on. And I'm like, I love the utility of that, and I kind of miss that in modern games, actually. Because, like, 5e, what do I do if somebody wants to make a map? We'll make a map making tools rule. Who takes that skill?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Whereas this game is from the outset, one of the specializations for Wilderness is map making. So they thought about it.
Then we have a whole section about like area combat, which is funny because they give you this whole section, and at the end of it they say, well, maybe just don't use it. We have a bot game. Which is fucking great.
I love that.
We'll just play the board game for this. And there can be a bunch of like dudes on the crew if you want. They might exist. That explains who they are. And here's like, and then we have animals suddenly. Like it's very again. This is very Boot Hill reminiscent because area combat is over now. Here's animals.
Here's animals. Have fun with that.
AN comes after AE.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and then we have suddenly again, what you call it, like some color pages, and again different. This artist, actually, the one guy I'd say, like, okay, this face isn't great, right? But
no, it's not.
This is comic style, at least, with the black shadows, and it's an interesting action shot here with the weird, I don't know, probably some Martian creature. Special rules for fight animals, animal morale, and then a bunch of animal weapon explanations.
Oh yeah, this section I remember reading as a kid and just being like, wow, they really wanted me to care about how animals killed you.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
This Fangs picture is, I think, maybe the worst depiction of Fangs ever. This is not how big thick they are. This is like some sort of, we can hunt this snake for ivory. What the fuck? But yeah, they just explain every possible kind of thing about that's including tentacles in here, talons,
tentacles, and then dropping, like flying animals picking you up and dropping you.
Yeah,
I was just like, holy shit, they really thought about it all.
Yeah, but they want big game hunting to be a theme, so it makes sense to give the GM some fucking ideas, because this is also another thing that D&D book, like very few creatures actually do the drop attack, and most creatures just get their like stat line, and they always do the same attacks, and it's boring. In this, you are meant to think about what else could my big monster creature do. Well, it could probably trample a guy or crush a guy because it's big. Even if I don't necessarily have a stat for that in my book.
Exactly. That's the whole point, is to get you to think and then make it feel like you're actually fighting something that will fucking kill you. Yeah. That's another thing about this game that, like, yes, I get it, big game hunting, colonialism, etc. But the other side of this is that this game made these creatures feel lethal as fuck. That you
Yeah.
were really taking a risk, which I got to give it credit for that. Because how many times in D&D? Oh no, there's 3 boulettes. We have to kill them. Like, there's no, there is no drama in it. There just
Mm.
isn't.
Yeah.
Even if, oh no, there's 2 CR higher than us.
And then we get back to that guy.
Then we go back to this guy and his plastic surgery failing girlfriend.
Yeah. Like, I just gotta scroll past it. Now we are on Mars all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Now we are come to the map section of the game, which inexplicably also contains the planets.
Yeah. And they explain maps and map sizes and map scales, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I do appreciate that because you're supposed to be explorers, so you're supposed to like find shit out.
Yeah.
Except when you have a phobia for being eaten, swallowed, and every big game encounter is very dramatic. True. Maybe you weren't meant to be on this expedition then. They give you rules for like how overland travel works, and it's very realistic, meaning not great for a game. Because every week you have to roll against the fever, and then if you don't make your endurance roll, then you just have the fever and you can't travel, and everyone has to wait. And it feels like this might happen a lot if you actually play the rules as written. And it's just a lot of little rules about we need to climb. Well, here's our accident table. You broke a leg. That's great. So I guess we don't do the adventure because our character has broken a leg, question mark. Like, this is where the game as a game just kind of falls apart. Because clearly, let's hunt the mammoth. The moon mammoth or whatever. They live in caves. We have to climb down to the caves. Oh no, Dave fell down and broke his leg. Well, Dave's character is out for the adventure because there isn't any magic healing in this book. There isn't any. Yeah, I'm gonna recuperate quickly from this. No, there isn't. You're just gonna have a broken leg now, and good luck. Like, it's that Monty Python sketch where they are just all in the Zulu fight, and then the officer is just like, "Oh, what happened to you?" Well, I got kind of a little boo-boo on my leg, and then they show like the leg completely ripped off. It's like, "Oh, who did that?" And then pokes it with a pipe. I don't know, it smarts a little bit, but it's okay. It was like some sort of big cat, but I was asleep, I think. And then they start hunting the cat, and they say, "Yeah, but that guy didn't come with you, did he? Because he lost a fucking leg." Like, yeah.
Now I'm reminded of the movie Canadian Bacon, where they show like American Special Forces, like Delta Team, going into Canada to do something. They're all suited up, and then like as they're crossing some rocks, one of them stubs his toe and he falls down, and then they all like look at each other for a second and then shoot the guy who stubbed his toe and keep going.
Amazing.
So good.
Okay, what is here? Lots of travel rules with like different kinds of boats.
Yeah.
Lots of travel rules with different kinds of flying boats.
It's just a lot.
Pistol whip a Batman.
Yeah, the Mothman. Yeah,
I think it's a Batman, but
he's a Batman. Yeah,
not the Batman, just a Batman.
Yeah. So here we go. Story time. When we looked through these rules, as the children that we were just like, well, how do we actually like make this work? Like, what do we do?
Yeah. What do we do?
And so we had the map, and we were just like, well, we all played Oregon Trail at school, right? Okay. Why don't we make like getting there kind of like Oregon Trail? And then that's basically what we wound up doing. And then we just used all the tables in here as best we could, added stuff where we could, subtracted where we could, and like we would role play along the way. Like, And another part of this is we were young. We didn't expect our characters to even get through getting there because we remember everybody dying of dysentery.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where like
Oh no.
this system works great if you don't want to have the same character at the end of the story as at the start. Because you,
Yeah.
like you said, break your leg. You might encounter a bats randomly and have to get in a fight, and then you're like laid up for a bit. There's just so much, and it
Mm.
works fine if you do it like that,
Yeah.
or if you want to go hardcore, like hobbits going to Mordor.
Yeah, it's unstated, but I guess since the character creation is so dead easy and quick,
Yeah,
um, it's very easy to make another guy on this expedition who I'm not gonna play. Because my
yeah,
original guy got his face ripped off by a bat.
yeah, exactly. That that was so common. But then also like if you kind of have like a fatalistic 300 like mentality where it's just like sure we're going to go kill the moon mammoth. A lot of us might not come back.
Yeah.
Might be
Like,
just a few of us that come back.
that's one of those things where if you look at sea voyages back then,
Oh yeah.
like they bring, yeah, we are sailing like from Great Britain to China. Our crew is 106 people on this boat. We expect 30 of them to return.
Yeah. Like the if you play with that Victorian, hell pre-Victorian too, mindset, then suddenly it's apparent like what he was trying to get across with this game.
Yeah. Like, it's interesting that it's never really stated, though. That's kind of where
No.
I'm like,
I would bluntly be stating it if I wrote this. I'd
no.
just be like, well, here's the three ways you can play it. You can play the fatalistic Victorian way, you could play it the quasi heroic way, or you could play it the super heroic way, where every scene where there's something that's happening, it's your heroic bare chested adventurer there to save the damsel or shoot the Batman or something.
Yeah. They talk about encounters next, which is like, oh, you can roll on these tables. You can also make your own encounters. You can, and a mandated encounter is when you
Mm-hmm.
roll it from the table and use it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Invented is when you do it. Random is when like, it's interesting that it talks about mandated encounter and random encounters, which is the thing we always know now from D&D. A mandated encounter is to roll your travel shit and you might just encounter a thing that wants to kill you. And the random encounters is another type of encounter. um, they talk about weather and how it changes and how the different planets have different climates, which is, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Venus is
Yep.
very wet, Mars is very dry. Talks about
Yep.
financing the expedition and who might finance it, which is funny to me.
As
Like, you literally have to find a bunch of dudes to be like, yeah, we are gonna give you money for a boat, as long as you secure us the mining rights on that mountain over there.
if
Um,
if there was like a modern redoing of this, I would just have them play Curious Expedition for like
yes,
50 hours and then take ideas from that.
yes. You have you can become lost when the 5 is rolled on an encounter every day.
Yeah.
And the tables are in the back as well. Like, it just tells you that these exist, but the tables aren't here. And you have a space travel whole thing, which explains what the ether is, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna and the different planets. Mercury is just also livable, by the way. It's like one of those tidally locked planets where you have a twilight zone where you can live. Then Venus is again very hot. Then you have Earth, Mars, and then we have the asteroid belt, which used to be a planet in this.
Yep,
They say it's a Vulcan, which is fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Historically,
It is fucking wrong.
Historically, Vulcan is a theorized planet within the orbit between Mercury and the Sun.
Yep.
And they thought them it might exist because they weren't sure why stuff moved weird. Because they hadn't done the math on other like bodies influencing each other yet in the solar system.
Oh yeah, it's so like the whole theory of the asteroid belt originally being a planet, like that was also used in that Once and Future King game that I showed you. That was an amazing engine game.
Mm-hmm.
It's been used in so many games because it's such an old idea.
Yeah.
And all of these games like to just use it again and again and again. And I get it. I get it. You do that so that then you can explain why in your little spacecraft powered by steam, you wind up on an asteroid that's like Ceres from The Expanse that people are living in and spinning.
Yes.
Like,
Because
that's how you explain it.
yeah, even the asteroid belt, like it's supposed to be the planet was destroyed, and then
Yeah.
they can still find like Vulcan artifacts because they also had a civilization there. Because every planet in the solar system that's at least warm enough apparently has dudes living on it that live there, including the moon. The moon has caves, as I said,
Yep.
which I inhabited. And then they talk about interplanetary travel a little bit, how long it takes, blah blah blah.
The other note about the moon that was interesting that they decided to throw in was the deeper you go, the higher the gravity goes. So like it goes from what 16% of Earth normal to 30% in the deeper caves in the grottos. So it's like one of those things where it's like, here's a mystery for you to explore, and then they never explain it, of course.
No, that's not a mystery. That would happen, wouldn't it?
No,
No, it would.
not on the moon. Not on the moon. It would happen on a planet that still has like a molten core.
No, gravity is gravity.
Yeah, it is.
Wouldn't it be more if you go inside, like over time? Like you have to go really deep inside.
You have to go really deep, but even then, like the moon's not big enough for that. It does happen that way on, like let's say Jupiter was not a gas giant, but
Yeah.
you could walk on it. It would work that way there because it's big enough.
I mean, but that's to be fair to them. That's the Shadowrun school of things. Yes, a mystery. I don't know what's going on. Good luck.
Exactly. I like it. I like it for that reason.
Yeah.
There's so much of this that I like, but then
And
I'm into
then
this stuff. So
we get to. I want to get to the interesting part, which is the planets. Okay, so Luna, not super interesting. Can't have many people there. Which is for some reason why they make the adventure of the book about Luna. And this adventure is really terrible.
It's a bad adventure.
Yeah, like it is very weird that the adventure is in the third of the game at the start of that. So what happens in the adventure? Well, you're going to go to the moon with Cyrus Grant, this guy. And Cyrus Grant is going to solve every problem. You're going to be along for the ride as Cyrus Grant does things.
Yep. That's what it is.
He will literally just do things and you are there too. That's the whole adventure. Also, they give you 6 days of what happens, and then they say, if the party takes longer to go, just start over. Just roll a die. What thing happens? And then maybe Luna rats, bats, or caterpillars attack you. Which sounds really unfun.
No, it's not fun. No.
And then
it's terrible.
You find the thing, and then there's ants there. Standard, mark it off.
Yeah, mark it off.
They find the nest of the Selenites or Moonmen, which are ants. I'm sorry, they look like ants.
They're ants.
And then you get captured, and then they talk a bit about Selenites suddenly, which I suppose they're new question mark. Yeah. And then they have a civilization maybe and a hive, and then a Russian tirade.
They have a fucking. Why did I say fucking instead of fungus? A fungus farm. A fucking farm.
Yeah.
But yes, the Russian is an inventor who got marooned there. So.
Yeah. Marooned, you might say, not marooned, mamooned.
Mamooned. He got mamooned. But yes, the only adventure in here is the moon adventure. But the Mars section and the Venus section go, well, here's some ideas for adventures.
Yep.
Which it winds up being a better section.
Just super strange that this whole thing is basically about these two inventors who find each other in the moon. Like it's a love story for the ages, but you are also there, and nothing really matters that you do. Here's Mars. Here's the High Martian Temple. Cool. And then they talk about Mars, where there is the canals, which is why people thought back in the day that Mars actually was being lived on, because they couldn't really tell off of the telescopes. They just saw the old-timey waterways that are still like kind of there. And thought, yeah, Mars must be a thing where people live on, but not really. But in this game, obviously, there are 3 types of Marsmen. And they all have these canals, and they explain in exhaustive details how aqueducts work.
Yes, they go super hard about it.
I don't know why, but they sure do. And then they tell you about the...
I'll give them the credit of the part of the reason why they go into detail about it is because it's one of the main things you're going to be interacting with on Mars. But secondarily, they've had these canals for 35,000 years. They've had them for longer than we've had canals on Earth. So that's a huge part of like their culture, their everything. And it's immersive.
I guess you could put mermaids in these canals, but they're mostly dry these days, so it's maybe not the best idea because Mars is losing its water a lot.
Yeah.
Here's the Martian water cycle, where out of the aquified zone it rises, goes and snows onto the polar ice caps. Stuff like that. Here's some
I love this shit.
boats.
I just love this shit. So
I'm always curious what you're supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to put this on your photocopy and then very carefully cut out the boat. Okay.
Use an X-Acto knife and then cut it out. Yeah.
But you can't X-Acto knife it out of your... I mean, not out of the original book, I guess, but out of a photocopy.
Oh, no, yeah, out of a photocopy is what I mean, yeah.
And the Martian civilization is somewhat in decline. But there's so much here about like Martians suddenly. It's kind of baffling. But the important takeaway for you as a player is that on these crossing points there will be cities. And then the British are on Mars now, and everyone else the British, yeah, they flew there, and then they found the float wood or whatever it's called, and then they became even more British. And then they talk about every other civilization that's here. Like, I dread to inform you that the Belgians are also on Mars.
Yes, the Belgians are a significant part of things on Mars.
And you shouldn't, if you know anything about history, the Belgians shouldn't have colonies.
No.
Yeah, exactly, Waggles. Oh no. The Americans are also here, France is here, blah, blah. I'll get a little blurb, and basically it boils down, they're all trading with the Martians in some way.
Exactly.
There's Belgium. Talk about liftwood, that's what it was called. There's Booth Spice, which is apparently a very flavorful narcotic. And you're supposed to trade like your glass beads equivalents for these things.
Yes, the space Belgians have come.
Yeah, but here's gum. Gum is a substance similar to rubber, but which retains its pliability and resistance at lower temperatures down to well below freezing. It is also much less likely to break down chemically under high heat, which makes it usable under a wide variety of circumstances than rubber. Like rubber gum is plant sap, but unlike rubber gum, it's not easy to cultivate. Its leaves are razor sharp, and the bark is incredibly tough. The sap itself is a skin irritant before processing, to Martians anyway. Humans do not seem to be affected severely. Gum occurs only in the area called the coprets and was not a popular crop in the time before the coming of humans. The Belgians, whose seizure of the coprets area was perpetuated largely in order to establish large gum plantations using forced labor, control virtually the entire harvest, as other nationals are unwilling to use the Belgian methods of agriculture. Like, we have a whole little section about how the Belgians found better latex in this.
Yep, superior latex and how they monopolize it. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what we have, Waggles. I don't know how to feel about this. Yeah, me neither. Me neither. When I read this, because I did not remember this section, like when I recommended this book.
There's so many little sections like this in here that are just like, what?
Yeah. Like the law in this is simultaneously very basic and very, very compelling in a weird way. But also, it is very sad because, yeah, they're using forced labor. So they have Martian slaves. Great. I love it here. I really want to play a character in this game about slavery. Cool. Awesome. Like, and that's never really addressed at all. Like, in the whole book, that you might be against what the Belgians are doing.
Yeah.
I suppose, but you would be against it because you're British and they are a competitor, not because they are doing shitty things.
Yep, that's the unfortunate thing, is that like it just feels that way no matter if they address it or not, is that it's the only reason why that's in there. So, well, perhaps we should take that away from them. They're not doing it right. We're more, efficient with our slavery.
We would give our slaves a day off.
Once a
Maybe,
month.
yeah, on the Saturday, because the Sunday is something for Catholics to have off.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk about beating up Catholics for a bit. I would like to play Shogun, except
yes, they are on it.
Blackthorn is here amongst Martians, explaining the British are coming.
Yes.
That would be fun.
What else is here?
Yes, the space Japanese are a thing in this game, Sundered.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff about the Martians. Now? And there's 3 kinds of Martians. You have these guys who have like these skimmer wings, who are the most they're called the High Martian. They hold their own slaves. They're basically how do I explain this? They are called High Martian because they live on high places, not because they are actually like
it's not like high elves. Everybody,
basically the villains here, because they take slaves. They are and they raid the other Martians for stuff.
Yep. And they're the ones who have the most or the liftwood groves.
Yes. So you have to deal with them or steal their wood or whatever. And then you have the hill Martians, who I guess are kind of like the most like Native Americans or something.
Yeah.
Because they are not the high civilization guys who have the canals, and they are not the slaving despot guys, but they are the guys in between, who you might be dealing with as well. They live in the hills, as you might surmised, so they're basically desert dwellers as well. And they all have the side toe, which is okay. I guess if you like that, you like that. Interestingly, also, the guy who drew, like, they clearly had a different guy draw all these aliens as opposed to other stuff. Like, I like this art just a lot more than all those imperialist humans.
Oh yeah, this art I like. I have an explanation for these when we're done, though.
Okay.
Not there yet. As soon as you explain Canal Martians.
Yeah, the Canal Martians are the guys who live at the canals, and they're basically like Romans or something because they build aqueducts a lot.
Very much like Romans. Yeah, they're very much like Romans. Okay, so here's like the 20,000-foot perspective on this. We are looking at something that I would refer to as a proto-Gith, because he couldn't copy John Carter at all. He couldn't. He had to do something that was different. John Carter has very unique Martians that are all very interesting and cool, but these look like Gith, and it feels kind of intentional, because the Gith come from actually a science fiction short story, which a lot of people don't realize. So as a result, you have this idea that these people evolved distinctly over the last, I don't know, 30,000 years because they wound up living very separate lives, which this can be quite fascinating for your RPG setting because that's kind of how people think about the Githyanki and the Githzerai.
Yeah.
And it works really well here because you have these. So the High Martians, the idea that they're a bunch of raiders, the thing that you could map them onto the most is actually not the Mongols, but the Huns.
Yes.
Because there wasn't this idea of we're going to establish an empire. No, we're just going to raid you and take your stuff and go back to where we came from and still hold our beliefs. Thanks. And then these hill Martians, you could almost think of them as steppe people, between people, like the Sarmatians, because they still ride around on animals and stuff. They still have some sort of quote unquote equestrian, even though it's not horses, life, pastoral life. And then the Canal Martians map on perfectly to Romans. So if you want to like look at it from the classical era thing, all three of these map onto things from the classical era in some regard.
Yes. And now we are coming in to exploit them for their stuff because we are humans and we are terrible.
Yeah, we're humans. We're terrible. Yep. Because the Canal Martians are in decline. The Hill Martians are also in a different kind of decline in that their herds are thinning. But the ones that aren't really in decline are the High Martians. Because they have stuff to sell to us.
Yeah.
So they're profiting off of it.
So since they have the liftwood and we really want that, we are going to deal with them and then strengthen them, giving them guns or something.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, like I don't like it. I viscerally hate it, actually. I don't want to play that kind of character.
Yeah, it's too real. Like I made the classical era comparison because they map on pretty well to those things, and it's not in a good way. It's just in a really, really, really dark way, honestly. Because it is almost as if like, people with steam-powered robots came to visit the Romans. It's almost exactly like that, honestly.
Yeah, God. Talk a bit about languages. Then we have Crimchas, and I like the Crimchas, as I said. Because these look alien, but they don't look like completely alien. They look like they could imagine having these for real.
Yeah, I like them. We made use of a lot of them, honestly.
Yeah.
We of course added our own creations because it's fun.
I like that there's randomly a gazelle in here.
Yeah, randomly gazelle, yes. What do they call that?
Oof. And then
gazelle?
Very like ahead of its time, it has a lot of like, oh, Adventures on Mars, here's some little thing. And what is actually the anarchists?
Right
the anarchists are on Mars and they're gonna distribute leaflets about being an anarchist. And we have to stop Bakunin. So
stop Bakunin again.
And but to their credit, here's some ideas for adventures that you could run. Like let's work on them more. And we have Venus.
This is one of the few books like that is steampunk oriented that acknowledges that the Irish did not want the British there. Like most of these do not even want to acknowledge it.
True. And then we have Venus, which is also German dominated. Why?
Yes.
Because liftwood doesn't like rots on there because it's like it doesn't like the climate. So the German Zeppelins are ruling the sky of Venus.
Yep, literally.
And what is Venus? Well, it's a big swamp. And there's dinosaurs, as we said. And then that's mostly it. And there you have lizard men, who are basically, they are the Native Americans because they have individual tribes who don't really work together. There's no central authority to speak of. And you can deal with them. They might be nice, they might not be. You will find out.
Basically, in the lore of this, the assumption is that Mars is the older place because they have canals going back 35,000 years. And then Venus is the much younger place because the lizard men They are barely Paleolithic.
Yeah.
And then we show up with guns and give them to them. So
And because we are just, the British will come to this land specific to hunt the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's that.
Oh, and to be more specific to chat, when I say Paleolithic for the lizardmen, I mean like Paleolithic Neanderthals, like that far back, not anybody who might be Paleolithic today.
And then suddenly and pretty quickly, because they mainly care about Mars, not so much Venus.
Yeah.
Here's stats for different ships and shit.
For everything, yeah. And they provide explanations too in between things if needed.
Yes. Do we suddenly see your actual like stats for the guns, to like 2 wounds if you get hit by a pistol or a rifle, because well, it's a fucking rifle.
Yeah, they are realistic about that too. That's one thing I did enjoy about it, was like it was sometimes very hard to hit something with a gun, but if you hit it, you fucking hit it.
And here's the next reason why a pikeman is good in this, because the pike also does 2 wounds if it hits you.
Yep. Yep. Most people wound up using a saber. I know there was an expansion book that like talked a little bit about fencing, where somebody literally did like a main gauche thing all the time, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like they defended with their offhand weapon and then use their saber in their main hand.
Like if you look at the stats, basically, you use like the best reach weapon would give a -1 to hit you, but you also have -2 to block. Like, actually, for it being a very simple system, the melee combat actually probably works pretty well from just off the stats I can stare at here.
Yep. And in practice, whenever we did a thing where, okay, so I hit a guy with a sword, but I have extra hits. What do I do with those? We let people do stunts. Even back then, we had that idea as kids, and it worked out really good. Like doing a flourish, like I stab him with my saber, but then I knock him down, like stuff like that, basic shit.
Yeah, that's a rule this could have really used. I agree.
Yeah, it would have been very basic, because this is not a game where hitting better should mean you do more wounds, because that's way too lethal for a system like this. Hitting good should mean you do something good with it, not just I kill him harder. Because like I said, a lot of those are 2 wounds. 2 wounds is enough to knock out the average person, so it doesn't really matter.
Yes, or encounter tables, which are maybe clearly not big enough, but that's okay.
Game from 1988.
Yeah.
I will give it a little bit of an allowance, because it has a certain amount of page space that it has to have.
He has very big animal stats.
And as you can see, like the steppe tiger is 10 wounds.
Yeah.
Before it gets knocked out.
Yep. And then we have the Venusian animals, which are even the giant turtle, 30 wounds.
Yeah. Giant
Brontosaurus, 40. Tyrannosaurus, also 40. Yeah.
Yep.
We can fight a while against those guys, that's for sure.
Yeah. Because so of course the immediate reaction would be, why wouldn't you just take your little regiment to go hunt a Brontosaurus? It's in the jungle and the swamp on Venus.
Yeah.
How are you going to get those 40 guys there? They're all going to be miserable and hate you.
Yeah.
Making you come just to kill one Brontosaurus.
Also, this is about the thrill of the hunt. It is me, my elephant rifle, and the Brontosaurus. And my servant, my other servant, and my third servant, and my cook. We are going to kill this fucking Brontosaurus.
And my wife, who's having tea while watching.
Yeah. Who really hopes I get trampled, because she hates this.
She really hates this.
Yeah. So, yeah, there we are. That's the game. Here's a whole page of, if you want to grab very common in this time, here's just a page of like hexes in case you want to draw a map.
So you can photocopy it.
And here's and here's a character sheet, and here's I love this because to cut out
the head off thing.
which glasses and hat would you like to put on your character? This is, I think, both the dumbest and most charming page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is also going back to what we were saying before, where your character, well, you can roll them really fast, so they were slightly disposable.
I like to think that one person in this game is allowed one of these portraits, and they have to each new character gets to have a different accessory.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Like character number 1 will have the boat captain hat. Character number 2 will have glasses. Character number 3 will wear the sideways bowler hat. And so on and so forth.
Yes.
And then when you run out, you have to put on the feather hat.
You have to put on the feather. So this is one of the analysis things about this. It's very important. Part of the reason why this game is so simple is, remember how we would go on about how stupidly complicated some things were in Twilight 2000?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like this was him writing in response to those people that hated that. Because the character creation is so dead simple. And the combat, while there is a layer of crunch, once you figure it out, it's just as difficult as Rift's combat.
Yeah.
It's not really that hard of a game. It doesn't really expect that much out of you. Because, like we said, the lead-in section is 20 pages. Oh, okay, we have Zeppelins and stuff, and I'm playing somebody from 1889. Who cares? Let's go.
Why do I feel like if you played it, you would be going for the squeaky clothing? Oh, wait, no, that's me. Well, I would too. No, okay, here's the thing. I would never actually play this as written because fuck this setting. I at the very least, I want all of this. You can have the setting 1-to-1, but then I want a book about being somebody who is against this shit.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Who is going to fight the humans in their attempts to colonize 2 other planets. Like, I would love to be like somebody from a colonized nation on Earth going to space to fuck up some British people.
Yeah.
Like, we are Zulus. We stole your liftwood ship, and now we are going to Mars to fuck you up. Like, I don't know why, but that's what we are doing.
Yeah. Like, honestly, that's how it usually wound up us playing. Like, there was one guy in the group who was a big, like, he watched the movie Zulu Dawn when he was a kid. So he was heavily into, like, all of that. And he just loved the idea of, like, this guy from Africa with his rifle, his bayonet, using the pith helmet of the first British man he murdered, and he wore it everywhere. And he was like, he wanted to get together, like, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen didn't exist yet, but it was something very similar to that, except like it was all the different outcast groups that hated the British with passion. And one of them was like a hill Martian. There was a lizard man in the group. There was an Irishman. I know there was an Indian character. The Indian character was just like a porter, and he got sick of it one day, and he killed his master right in front of the master's wife, and then he left. Like, that was literally his backstory. We were just like, this is cool.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately how we wound up playing it. Combat was great, honestly, because we just thought of it like what I said earlier. But no, you shouldn't do more than the wounds that it says for your weapon. Okay, can I do something else with my hits? And then, bam, suddenly we had something that was very playable. We were disarming people left and right. If you, the guy playing the Zulu guy would often, like, shout intimidatingly after he killed someone. You know, stuff like that. Like, we really action heroed it up.
Yeah, I think this game works okay for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it works great for that.
But that's the issue it has as written, is that, as written, you are supposed to be a stiff upper lip British man.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a Brit or German if you're on Venus.
And that's kind of...
Yeah, it's literally.
And obviously, like, yeah, it's of its time. But I would argue even in 1990 or 1988 or whenever this was written, you could have known better.
yeah.
it is also like if you take out the rules sections of this, then it is a completely terrible, like and completely dysfunctional assortment of like factoids.
Yeah.
Because there isn't really a through line to any of this. They
There
give
really
you
isn't.
so little information about the different countries and what they're doing that it's almost impossible to get an idea of how this world even like developed in the last 20 years or whatever.
Because that's the biggest problem is the Mars section is technically like longer than the section that's supposed to tell you about how this is alternate history.
Yes.
And that's to a huge detriment. Like if you want us to play the British Empire, tell us why the British Empire is in charge if, you know, India could have Maxim guns, fully automatic Maxim guns at their disposal. Like tell me why. And it's okay to make it one sentence or one paragraph. You still got to tell me.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Instead, we have 5 pages about aqueducts and stuff.
Yeah. Which I love, but it doesn't jive with the rest.
Yeah, it's just suddenly we're talking about Martian aqueducts and stuff, and kind of let it through that had the Martian climate not changed, they probably would have come to us with their liftwood ships eventually instead. Who knows? Yeah, Dr. Dreadmore, thank you for the follow. I'm assuming that's a doctor. You missed it with the box, sadly, but what can you do sometimes? And then like they're legitimately just, and then the sample adventure is really one of the worst things I've ever seen.
So bad. So bad.
Like there's no decision you're allowed to make. You just follow this guy until he's done on the moon. That's all you do.
Yeah,
that's bad. Straight up.
Bad. Like if I rewrote this today, not knowing exactly how they've rewritten it already, I would have an alternate history North America. I would have an alternate history shattered British Empire who's attempting to get their luster back because everybody rebelled with the super weapons that are now being invented. And I would have the I hate to put it like this, but this is like the best way for people to understand it. I'm very sorry. I would have a very Game of Thrones like atmosphere on Mars, where all these different Mars factions are trying to figure out their shit so that they don't get conquered by the British Empire. And then over on Venus, I would have the opposite. I would have these lizardmen trying to figure out how to come to grips with basically being given like the fucking what was it called? The monolith from 2001.
Yeah.
Like it would be great.
I'm not a doctor. It's Dr. Dreadmore. No matter how many spaces I add, I cannot escape it. It's not just.
It's okay. I can't expect the doctor.
I'm sorry. I will just call you Dreadmore if that's okay. Thank you for the follow again. It's fine.
Oh, the name is very appropriate.
Yeah.
Dreadmore Doctor. Yes.
Was thinking in some chest you find some. Okay, this has nothing to do with the game, but I like your ideas.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I'm going to comment on that, not now. So, I think the part that is most evocative of this game to me is right this fucking picture, where we see the spaceship getting shot at with rocks out of your cannon.
I like that a lot still.
And it has like the whole it looks like Space One and stuff. That's interesting to me. The fact that the game doesn't even have rules to allow you to play a Martian or a lizard man is very telling. Like, at no point does it tell you, oh yeah, you could be a Martian and these are Martian jobs. Nah, it doesn't care. You're a British guy. And that's really why I hate it as a thing. There's many good things in here, especially for its time. The system is so playable. I can't even. Like, this is contemporary to first edition Rollmaster and shit like that. Which you can't play, which are just just like terminal table syndrome. And then this comes out, it's like, yeah, just roll a d6, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, roll it,
It does have that energy.
Roll
does
it
have that energy.
to your stat, I guess. Let's go. Let's play a game. And I like it for that, which is why I'm conflicted on this motherfucker. Like,
it's a very cut to the chase style game, which there's so many other games that are not from this era that are just like, here's 1,000 tables. Ugh.
Yeah. Like you. This game is so playable that I would play it today with the rules it writes, with the base rules. Like the fighting rules, I can take or leave. If this didn't have such a focus on swashbuckling, I think it. I don't know, but the base rules are so like simple that for beer and pretzel pickup game, let's make a character real quick. Here's your skill list. You have like 20 points. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like you have half an hour to make a dude, and then we are gonna go to the moon. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's really good for that.
Like, what lets it down super hard is that they didn't really do alternate history. They just did alternate area.
Yeah.
You need to do alternate history to explain where the fuck all the technology comes from. You need sections that just deal with that and deal with changes. And it would be interesting to be like, our divergence point is 50 years in the past when they found some sort of new crystal stuff that powers our ships now, and it's only found in these few places, and so they suddenly became very powerful and sought after, and there were big wars and blah blah blah. And then Edison actually invented the thing that you can use the crystals for, and then like you make it, that would make it interesting. But it almost feels like the game is ashamed about its space stuff, like I said initially.
Yeah, that was the first meme I gave you.
Yeah. Oh god, you have memes, don't we? Do we? Yeah, we do.
Of course, I memed this one. Some of them are a little weak, but there's pretty good ones.
There's a few here. We're looking them in a second. So
yes, we'll do that at the end.
But yeah, that's basically it. Like, this is much like a Boot Hill, where you can just be we're gonna play cowboys today. Cool. Here's take half an hour, make your character. They're called Kitty the Bill. They're really good at punching and also okay at pistols. So yeah, there you go. That's what you care about in fucking Boot Hill. And in this, I made like a dandy. And I made a Martian who is from the Hill Tribes. And I made a Lizard Man. And I guess he is somehow there where we are. He snuck on the boat and survived there somehow. And then now he's...
that's exactly what I was supposed to write in that group I mentioned.
Yeah. And that would be so much more fun and so much more interesting than what this ends up being. Because it focuses on the weirdest shit. Like, why do I need to care about how big my laboratory is for my scientist? Like, no, I don't want to.
Ether flyer details, like this is so much of the ether flyer. I forgot about that.
Map out your ether flyer. No, no, I don't want to. I don't want to do homework. You map out my ether flyer game. You want this to be a thing. And so on and so forth. Like, it's just. It smells of, well, we don't really know what we need to include to make the game good. So we're going to include what we wrote, everything. Is anyone going to care? No. Fuck no.
No.
Anyone who plays this is going to just take the... why are you eating? Stop it. So I will turn this redeem off. Why isn't this off?
Guess he wants you to read this comment.
What about my comment / meme? Okay, when the protocol collecule? Is that what you mean?
Yes. But there's another one.
Oh, you want me to say something? Then we will continue Shogun, The Expanse, and Space 1889, where Blackthorn Holden, with his translator engineer Naomi Mariko, must stop the space Portuguese from obtaining the protocol cue. Okay. I'll grant you the Yates. I'll grant you the Yates. I think that's what happens.
Over. That's my next game I'm running.
Yes, Dreadmore, both. So yeah, because the setting, like the idea of the setting in and of itself is evocative enough that you would want to play it. But again, I don't want to be this motherfucker. Anyone who wears this hat is an enemy. Like, fuck, no. I don't want to be a British gentleman out there to rob the natives for their gems or whatever the fuck. No. Like, and I don't think this had like much of an audience because of this, because even in 1990 this isn't interesting.
No.
Because like you said, you played really it, but you completely played characters that were not in this fucking book.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did immediately, because we were just like, why would you give us Lizardmen but not give us like a way to play them immediately?
Yeah. Like, again, if a guy like this is your intended character, then your game sucks.
Yeah.
No one wants to be Bismarck II Electric Boogaloo over here.
Nobody does. But like I said, like the main character, as much as you can have a main character in a party, was a Zulu. I mean, like, there we go. Yes. Already we were just playing against type from the outset, and that's just the way we always treated it anyway.
Yeah.
Like other shorter games of it were like, okay, we're a bunch of Irish on the moon, like stuff like that.
Yeah, Irish on the moon, we carry Irish on the moon. And yeah, because like, if they had done that, if they had just given you, okay, here's the different races you can play, here's and here's like how they have organized against the colonization of their planet and stuff. This might have had legs, but it's the wrong time, wrong cultural time to have that be published. So I guess get why it wasn't published. But I also don't think there was would have been an interest from the author to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the 20 pages of this is how Britain was in the 1880s tells me everything I need to know about the priorities here.
Yeah. Like, you've said Boot Hill multiple times. Doing a Boot Hill-ish thing with this is very doable also.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I would argue maybe better.
Well, it's Cowboys in Space. I mean, fun.
I mean, purely in terms of rules, I think this might be better than Boot Hill. But
better than Boot Hill.
I'm not a Hando show without playing. I haven't played either, so I wouldn't say what I like more personally there.
This goes a little faster and is slightly less simulationist, and like, where does the dynamite bounce to? Like, it's usually one roll and you're out, rather than a lot of weird numbers.
Yeah. And there we are, folks. That's Space 1889. A very icky game because of its themes, but it's a good game in terms of its rules. Yes or not? What's worth noting? Yeah.
Oh no, Thunder. Speaking of something,
I don't know. While we wait, I'm going to click on memes.
The first one I went hard with right away. You said the science thing. No, science, you can sit over there. I thought, oh no. I know which chair science is sitting in.
There you go, Squeaky Wolf. That's a freebie. In the third edition of this game by German publisher Uhrwerk Verlag, the alternate history is modified in some ways, one of them being that the Confederates win the Civil War because Lincoln dies from typhoid. What? Yeah. Why would that even fucking...
So there is more detail about that. the quote unquote advanced science of the period allowed for scientists to do wacky things. So he was intentionally infected with typhus. So he was
Oh.
assassinated with typhus, which
Oh.
I like that. That's interesting.
Okay,
Keep going with that.
It's a bit more thing. I think okay, but the very idea that the Confederates would win off of one guy dying is stupid.
Yeah, that's stupid. More has to happen than that.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. Baron von Garba, my social level is 6. What do you mean I'm not permitted in your party? Yeah. Like, you have to realize that social level literally only gives you money.
Yes.
And a few skills you won't roll very much. So being a British dandy is actually bad for your character.
That's not good.
When you're an aristocrat, double careers into vigilante. Hell yeah. I love this bearded Batman guy. What the fuck is happening? I love him.
Oh, good. I found that picture. I was like, okay, I have to do this one.
When your Victorian criminal maxes perform. Okay. Okay. I see what you did there. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, this is this game in a nutshell. We expect John Carter from Mars, and we get whoever the fuck.
Professor Mental.
Yeah.
Makes good music, but still, why I want to play this game?
Yeah. Coal burning steam boilers. Well, they're super effective though, so
super efficient. Yes.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, those dinosaurs are probably pretty difficult to deal with.
The irony is that this is an All Quiet on the Western Front
Yeah,
game.
I know.
So, because the Germans colonized Venus. So
yes, I don't understand this one. Oh, the section itself is shorter. I thought the character remaking is short.
Shorter than I expected. Yes.
Hunting Martian rabbits. Ooh. And here we are. Yes. Yes, Martians, give us your wood. We will give you ammo for the guns we are selling you. Like, this is exactly why I don't want to be a character in this. It's just in a nutshell.
It's so dirty.
It's very dirty. Like, yeah, if this just had bit different theme, yeah, I'd play it. There's always something to be said for a simple game.
Oh yeah.
As the rules were simple.
Very, very playable.
Another thing to point out again is that the layouting and what's where in the book is kind of baffling. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna give the book a failing grade for that alone, but it is weird.
No, it is weird
that you have the equipment section and all of it is just like the weight and the price. Yeah. And that's it. And then later on at the very end, you get that again, but you get it with the stats. Why?
That's the wrong choice.
Oh, actually, correction. These are only combat stats. So you could have just put weight and price next to it, and it would have been fine.
Head space. Required strength can be shortened down to rec STR. Like it's
as just STR. Let's put STR. Yeah. And in the rules it says it's the strength you need to use it. So it's like they explain how many wounds does it make when it hits you. No, it's just WND. So STR would have been fine. Yeah. So yeah, I guess as I said, I would play this, not really, but that maybe at the time with a different focus, because again, being the British guy, the only reason I ever played the British Hunter in Cthulhu is because because I played that character for comedy. Because it
Oh
was
yeah,
funny
yeah.
to be like, Shoggoth, what is that? Is it big? Can I shoot it with a gun?
Yes.
Because the character started their life at like 67 years old and getting senile. So
Yeah, it's less entertaining when like the other
Yeah.
9 guys standing next to you are doing the same thing, but they're serious about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was a good way for me in Cthulhu to be like, yeah, how can I be a character that is that has a big rifle that I want that can actually hurt these fucking monsters we are fighting, without having to be like some sort of actual military guy.
Oh yeah, because that's always a fight in a game like that.
Yeah, because then I could at least be upper crust and be the bumbling old man. Otherwise, it's kind of interesting how many places you can get into as a bumbling old man.
Oh yeah, I've played that archetype so many times. Or like if you look like the grandma from Sylvester and Tweety Bird,
Yes.
how many places you could get into.
Uh,
When somebody else GM'd Space 1889, that's the character I played. She was, uh, middle class woman who was married. Her husband had died in like some war, probably the Prussian War or something. I don't know. So she had been like, a widow a long time. And the whole thing with her is that she was just a simple seamstress who mended people's clothes. And when the ship was boarded, like at the start of the little campaign that we were doing, because I was going to come back to beat a GM very quickly. Um, the can't remember who it was. I think it was the Germans. It might have been the Belgians. No, it was the Belgians. The Belgians boarding the ship to steal everything. At one point, one of them had like gotten stabbed by one of the crew defending the ship, but then they shot the crew member. And so as a result, there's 2 dead men laying there. And she picked up the revolver from the guy that was attacking the ship and just bluntly said, "It's quaint. Perhaps I will go firing myself." And then she like killed 3 guys with it. So
nice. Yeah.
as doting old grandma murdering people, it was fun.
Yeah. Sven German, thank you for the kind words. And I want to point out, like, we have this 3 what's it called, column structure, and then you have this one page which is just infinitely more readable because it has 2 columns.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. Maybe we should do this for all our games.
Yeah. Because like the worst offender today is still the current World of Darkness games, Vampire 5th and Werewolf 5th.
Yeah.
Their 3 columns are just unreadable as fuck because like their typeface is just like 2 points too large.
Yeah.
So like you're putting so few words in each line.
True. So yeah, Drake.
All right.
What's your favorite thing about this game?
All right. So for a game that was supposed to be steampunk before steampunk was even codified, the Irish and the Japanese are actually mentioned.
Yeah.
But not as just window dressing, but actual powers as actual movers and shakers in the setting. Which, wow, like even like most steampunk works don't even bother to do that. When really the Japanese had a huge influence at the time, and the Irish, well, they were bombing shit in England at the time. So yeah, like I'm just impressed that any of that happened.
Fair enough. My favorite thing is just, again, the very simple rules. Especially for the time this came out in. These rules are so playable, I can't even.
Yeah,
like,
so playable.
Like, it's amazing to me that a game like this didn't, like, I guess it's shackled to its setting, which is why it never took off.
Yeah.
But
it really is.
Imagine if this had been like a big success with a different setting, and then we could have had a similar system for games way sooner. It isn't like the bullshit we got today, because this is we're GURPS. Good point there, actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
This
Because
is
GURPS steampunk is the most popular steampunk thing other than this.
terrible.
Yeah.
And Drake, what besides the colonialism is your least favorite thing in the book? Oh, also not.
Yeah, colonialism's terrible.
Yeah.
But the thing that's my least favorite is so we had plenty of time to talk about Mars canals. We had plenty of time to include cool dinosaurs. We have plenty of time to include the moon thing. Why didn't you guys go further with the asteroid belt?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been the great unknown. And then also, similar with Mercury, it feels like, yes, I get that those could have been expansion books, but you could have had 3 pages for each of those, and it would have been enough. But you need those things too. You need to give us the whole setting. Unfortunately,
yes, agreed. There isn't enough information here for any of the planets, so there would have been expansion books for all of them anyway. True, and I think being like an ice hauler from the belt to Mars to sell them ice because they don't have water would have been really cool.
I would have enjoyed that.
And yeah, so I think my least favorite thing is the schizophrenic nature of the lore.
Yeah.
Which like, imagine if someone was like, okay, it's the 1890s. Everything is as it is. And we are now going to play a game on Mars about going, like, trading them our glass beads for their gum. What's gum? Oh, it's just better rubber. Don't worry about it. How did we get here? But the middle part is left out and left to your interpretation, reader. And that's unacceptable.
That is.
Like, there has to be a alternate history, and they just omitted it.
Yeah.
That's actually probably even worse than writing a shitty art history that's like, oh, everything is the same, comma, but we have these boats.
Yeah, no, like Victoriana is a good example of that.
They didn't even do that. They didn't even say everything is the same. They said, yeah, this is how the real world was. And this is our setting where we are on Mars. Like, middle part omitted is one step worse than middle part sucks because the story you're writing is bad.
Yep. Like, I agree with that, actually.
Didn't write it. And that's like such a shitty mark against it. And also, again, what we obviously even worse than that is the themes of this book in terms of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And some of the art is really not great.
Yeah, it's really substandard. Like, for other stuff that we've reviewed from this era, this is probably the worst art, honestly.
Yeah.
Twilight 2000 is worse than this, but...
Yeah, it suffers from much the same problems where it's like, yeah, we can draw a tank real well. And this blob of featureless color is a face, by the way. Like, it's like, at least here, like, okay, this is actually probably the best one this guy did.
I just realized her lady's hat has
there's a lamp
on it.
Yeah, you forgot the little battery at the bottom of it, though.
Oh my god, I love that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted, like, you end up leaving this both wanting less and wanting more.
Yeah. Because I'll just be real with everybody. I like steampunk. I like dieselpunk. I like cyberpunk. I like atom punk. I like a lot of punks. But when you're not punk with it, then I don't like you as much.
Yes.
Like, you need to be. You need to have the woman of action from Australia who has like a bulletproof corset who leaps into danger constantly.
Yes.
You need to have fun with it.
Yes, you need to have, which is the punk aspect. We talked about this before even the stream started. You need to have the struggle against the evil authority in there, which is incidentally also why a lot of steampunk stuff is bad, because those people tend to just want to have the dresses on and the aesthetic, and then they forget about that it's supposed to be punk.
It's supposed to be rebellious in some fashion.
That's a column Dieselpunk kind of shares, because then you have a lot of like weapon fetishists. They were like, oh, I want a mech that looks German. This is the Mech 4. Oh no, what would it be? The what would a German name for this be? I don't even know. I can't even begin. Like ein Mechanoläufer Level 4 that we are piloting, which has the Iron Cross on it, and then I'm like, you fuck this. This is also terrible.
Yeah.
How do I don't want to be the Wehrmacht with its fucking serial numbers filed off, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. like Dieselpunk, it's even easier. Like, okay, actually, no, they're equally easy. Yeah. In Steampunk, I oppose the British Empire. In Dieselpunk, I oppose the Nazis. That's all you have to do. And if you can't even do that,
all you need to do for good Dieselpunk is to do Indiana Jones, the old movies, not the new ones, but have there be like some Dieselpunk stuff there. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You're opposing the literal Nazis. Good job. But that's not really what those tend to be about.
Yeah. Like anything from the Wolfenstein series, there you go. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah. Which I think is ultimately why Cyberpunk resonates with us today a lot more as a society.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Because the idea of evil corporations is just very close.
Yeah.
To us.
Right here. Like, we're using it to communicate with each other, you know?
Yeah. And the idea of cutting, like them manipulating you, but you getting one over on them is compelling.
So compelling.
And meanwhile, this game is clearly written by someone who has just an interest in history and kind of, knows that it's bad, but also knows it would have happened and then doesn't even comment on that. Yeah. And that's unacceptable for me for a game like this. That there needed to be a comment about a theme. Like, bigger comment. I couldn't find one. I tried looking.
There just isn't one. Like
the initial things just don't talk about it. Talk very briefly about gender.
Yeah.
Then they just give you what's role playing and what you need, and like someone should have read the rules. But then it immediately states, "Yo, this is 1889. You should be a British man who possesses the means to force their will on others." No, you've lost me on page 3 of your fucking text.
It would have been so easy too. Like, okay, the idea of all of these different nations rushing to be the worst colonists. That's a compelling backdrop, but that's not a compelling reason for why I am playing the game to begin with. I don't want to be those guys.
Yeah, I really don't. Okay, so Drake, what are we doing next
I got
time?
to pick one, don't I?
You do. You do gotta pick one.
Oh, are there any other old ones that we need to still redo, or no?
No, we did all redos. There wasn't that many to do ultimately.
Yeah, because there's only so many times we can talk about the Dark Eye. Here. You know what? We should return to the Furry Well.
Oh, Furry Well, I like that.
Yes, the Furry Well. I'll see if I can get the original copy of the rules for Gamma World. If not, we'll do like a second or third edition, because the first edition is really old.
Oh, Gamma World, okay.
Yeah.
Gamma World. I would be happy looking at any of those editions, to be honest.
Probably what I'll do is I'll send you I'll see if I can get the first, second, and third edition and send them to you, and then we'll mainly focus on one of them.
Like, I always enjoy going old school with my stuff, like, because there's third edition of this book. I could have looked at that, but I think it's important to see like the history of some of these games and the starting point. Of Gamma World, Gamma World is unlike this. Is important. Is played and important today. So maybe looking at the modern edition is more fine there. or more necessary. I don't know. It's up to you. You should think
I'll figure it
about.
out. It depends on accessibility, honestly.
Yeah, we should think about getting certain people back on as well. We have the. I think we might do the Transformers thing after Gamma World, and
Yeah,
have
and if we have
Matic
to
back
do it
on.
before then, that's fine.
No, we can have Matic back on for that. That's cool. And yeah, that's.
Wait. Thunder, do you want to be on our show? What?
Yeah, what? Do you want to be on the show? What do you... I don't understand what you're... Oh, okay. For Gamma World or for something else? Something else. Okay. Well,
okay.
talk to
Just
us.
DM us about it.
Yeah, talk to us about it. We can make that happen. But next time, in 2 weeks' time, let me look at the thing.
Yeah, that would be
Oh,
it's the 8th.
Yeah, June 8th, the day before my birthday. We're doing Gamma World.
Oh, okay.
So look forward to that, folks. Let's see. Monday we have Neon Blood. Is there anything else to plug?
I may stream next week because I don't have as much work assigned, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will for sure stream next week. Thank you for the video. So discovered a new animal that will become really popular in the fur community. A maned wolf. Looks like a combine of wolf, deer, hyena, and fox. Check him out. Okay. I'm sure that's gonna... I'm gonna see choice art soon enough. You know what I mean? Anyway, let us rate somebody. Let's see. We have Ezra's. We have Scar, Pinky, Mimikyu, Yorick. A lot of people on. Do you have a target that you want to rate? Oh, long legs are good. Dreadmore, long legs are good.
Long leg good.
If it's all the same, I rate Ezra's today.
Yeah. For Ezra's a little low. Because Ezra's is doing classic PC gaming today.
Oh, cool. Oh, shit.
With the theme.
Shit, we didn't talk about the game.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
There was a computer game about this game, and it's not great. It sucked. Just know that.
I played through it twice. If you didn't have linguistics high enough, your entire screen looked like something out of, I don't know, the Origami Killer or something.
Oh no. That poor Origami is dying.
You just start shouting Jason at your monitor.
Yes, this was fun as always, folks. See you in 2 weeks for Gamma World, or sooner for other streams. Like again, Neon Blood should be on Monday. Me and Waggles doing Disco Elysium is also going to happen on Monday, unless I'm mistaken there. And beyond that, I'll have a schedule up. Drake will have a schedule up. And yeah, there we go. Also follow Drake if you haven't already. Obviously.
There will be more to come.
Perfect. We're on for Disco. Wonderful. Okay. Then have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye. And have a good rest of your weekend. And rate it. And once the chat is up, we will...